All right, happy Wednesday, everybody. What's good? Yo, so real quick, for anybody who was watching on Monday, so it turns out I did post it on Twitter too. So if anybody's not like following me on Twitter, then you won't know this. But what ended up happening was the freaking power went out. So I was so pissed. So obviously midstream we cut off kind of abruptly, and the power went out here. And it went like, I think, north of me like 1 block and south of me like 2 blocks. Nobody east of me was affected, and west of me was like 3 or 4 blocks. Like there were, I don't know, probably like a good 70 or so houses affected. Like I was pretty pissed to learn about that, especially on Memorial Day when I assume lots of people are having their family over. But I don't know, there was a car accident. I guess somebody hit a transformer pole, but like nobody was hurt. It was only 1 car, so you know, I guess it's good that everybody, you know, lived and is safe and stuff. But man, was that inconvenient, right? So since nobody got hurt, I don't feel super terrible about saying that. It's still not great, but you know, first world problems, right? But that's what ended up happening on Monday, so I am still glad to hear that nobody got hurt from that, though, so that's at least good. But what we're going to do today is finish up what we actually started on Monday, which was looking at the remainder of the Modern Horizons 2 spoilers. All of the spoilers are actually out now. We see 303 of the 303 cards are spoiled. Life is great. We actually know all of the things. And if you're playing on Magic Online, this means that you'll be able to play with all of these cards tomorrow. If you're using a rental service, I think you might have to wait until Friday. I think most of them make you wait a day. I will probably have to wait until Friday to rent from Mana Traders. I used Germano Blue Historic, went 9-2. Nice, nice. Yeah, I think the deck is really well positioned right now. Like, you get to just like beat up on a bunch of decks for free, and the combination of like Shacklegeist and Nebelgast Herald really help out with the ones that you don't just beat up on for free, like Gruul Aggro and stuff like that. So glad to freaking hear it, man. Good job. So I have actually not cheated and looked ahead or anything like that. So we left off at like 224 cards or something like that. So there's like 70 cards to look at today. So this is going to be a good long, you know, pending any power issues, but yesterday was fine. This is going to be a good long stream of just like looking at new stuff. I am very hyped. Yeah, so I don't know, Sean, how often you rank up or if you like try for Mythic each month or anything like that, but if you do choose to use the latter each month, I definitely hope that, you know, the Mono Blue list helps you get to Mythic pretty easily, just like it got me to Mythic last month. So fingers crossed for you. So what are we looking at here? We got Resurgent Belief, suspend 2 for 1 and a white, and replenish. Okay, so it's replenish. Okay, that's not bad. So slight spoiler. One of the deck lists that I'm happy in Diamond. Cool. Diamond's still pretty good. I don't know. I feel like, what are the ranks? There's Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Mythic. So, like, even if you're in Diamond, that's still better than everybody in Bronze, Silver, Gold, and Platinum, which probably puts you well above, like, 80% of the people playing Arena. So, super good. Yeah, so it's replenish. So a slight spoiler here. One of the deck lists that I've already drawn up and uploaded and all that other happy stuff is a Enchantress list. So we saw all the cool stuff that came from Modern Horizons 2, and there's already been a decent amount of enchantments in the modern format anyway, just by virtue of the format being huge. So one of the lists that we'll be checking out today will actually be a green-white Enchantress list. So if that is something anybody is interested in, then, well, we'll get to check that out later. So yeah, we got an actual replenish, and the fact that this card exists actually does not change anything for the list I'm posting later. I don't want to play this card in that deck, but it's still pretty good. Me too, Sean. I've been in... Oh, right. I can do that so that you can actually read each other's chats. I've been in Diamond, can probably grind to Mythic, but I like playing all sorts of decks that may not be good for climbing the ladder. And that's a real thing, too. Like, if you have a bunch of cards on Arena, then fuck it, man. Play your cards, right? Like, you paid for those things. So, and I'm also pretty guilty of that sometimes, too. Like, I'll occasionally play, like, some non-spirits, what I consider to be nonsense most of the time. Like, anything in Standard. Or, like, some weird Jeskai control list or just something, because, like, I'm lucky enough to have a pretty robust collection, so I can build almost anything I want, which means I try a lot of shit. And it's fun, but it is not necessarily good for ranking up if that's your goal. So what do we got here? Just an Archbound prototype, insert modular creature here. Sure. Nothing particularly exciting about that. A 5-mana 3/3 lifelinker. Whoa, hi! It's Sun Titan, but it raises dead instead of reanimates. Okay. So you trade lifelink for the vigilance and 3 extra power. Alright, so it's just like a worse Sun Titan, so it's Disciple of the Sun. Alright, cool. Not bad. Not good, but not bad. Just a card. Fairgrounds Warden, huh? You pay 2, exile this thing, you get a Thopter, only as a sorcery, sure. Insert card that's probably really good and limited here. A Guardian Kirin. That's not a spirit. Come on, guys. You're killing me. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a +1 counter on this thing. It's a 4-mana 2/3 flyer. Sure. Alright, I guess I'm glad that's not a spirit. Never mind. Card's not good. 3-mana 2/2 adapt. Double strike until EOT when you put counters on this thing. Sure. Card sucks, but I actually really like the picture. I think this is a not necessarily interesting, but a very cool picture. Marble Gargoyle, huh? Oh, okay, just reverse fire breathing. Alright, well, that's not terribly interesting. Piercing Rays. So this is where we get to see a bunch of the fodder, huh? Sorcery speed, exile target tapped creature, and forecast tap somebody. The forecast calls for pain. That's cute. Soul of Migration, huh? 7-drop, ruh-roh. You get 2 birds, and you have to pay 4 if you want to evoke for 2 birds? What? Ew. That's terrible. Both halves of that card are terrible. I don't even know if I would really play that at 3 mana. 4 mana? Ew. When Bird into Aerial List enters the battlefield, you get a treasure token. It's a 3/1. Whenever you sacrifice a token, this thing gets flying. Sure, why not? Ethereum Spinner, huh? Whenever you cast a spell with 4 or greater, you get a Thopter. Sure. Is this drone, like, farting? I mean, I understand it's supposed to just be, like, some kind of propulsion engine deal, but, like, it really just looks like it's farting. Yeah, like, we get it. It's Ethereum. He's got the Tezzeret Ethereum arm going on here. And this is definitely just, like, a Thopter dealy, but, like, it really just looks like it's farting instead of actually, like, doing any kind of jet propulsion mechanics here. Oh boy, I can't wait for that to be memed on. That's gonna be really fun when some artists get a hold of that, I think. So what do we got here? Foul Watcher. When this thing enters the battlefield, you surveil 1, and it's a 2/2 as long as you have Delirium. Sure, why not? A Nightmare Bird, huh? Parcel Mirror. Sack this thing, draw a card. Sure, why not? Okay. Oh, it's a Clue Mirror. That's cute. So Clue is an actual creature type now. That's got potential to be a recurring theme. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If you've dropped something, draw something. Okay, cool. Cabal Initiate. What do? Discard to give lifelink. It is not once a turn. Threshold. It's a 3/3. Okay. Not the worst. They've definitely made worse discard outlets. Nope. Back button on this thing. Insert common baddie here. Hell Mongrel, huh? Discard +1s. Oh! Oh, sure, sure, sure. So it's like Wild Mongrel, except it's a 4/3 instead of a 2/2, and it costs 4 instead of 2. So obviously this card is much worse than actual Wild Mongrel was. And for anybody who is newer than I am, which is probably a lot of people at this point, but I don't know. I'm probably in that like halfway point. So this is what I'm talking about. Wild Mongrel was like a card from... Oh, God. Odyssey? Wow, okay. So this was, like, just coming out of Standard when I learned the game. So yeah, so what you would do is you would discard a card from your hand while Mongrel gets +1s and becomes the color of your choice until end of turn. So it's only a 2/2, not a 4/3, but it only costs 2 instead of costing 4 like this thing does. And this has Madness, whereas Wild Mongrel does not. So you can cast this Hell Mongrel for only 3 instead of 4 at least, but, like, still not great. Can you tell some of the stuff I've been, like, looking at when trying to brew around everything? But this used to combo really well with Basking Rootwalla back in Standard, because, like, these two were in at the same time. So you would use your Wild Mongrel to discard Basking Rootwalla, but its Madness cost was 0. So you just got to play your Basking Rootwalla for free. And Arrogant Worm was also in. So, like, turn 2, you could play Wild Mongrel. Turn 3, you could discard Basking Rootwalla for free, have Wild Mongrel be a 3/3. Also, turn 3, you could discard this Arrogant Worm from your hand, make Wild Mongrel a 4/4. Now you're attacking for 4, you got a free creature, and you've got a 4/4 trample on the table. So, this was a pretty powerful deck back in the day. You also got to play with, like, a real counterspell that was actually pretty decent for its time. Here we go. So you play Circular Logic. It's counter a spell unless controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard, but the Madness cost was only 1. So even, like, later in the game, you could just, like, you know, use Wild Mongrel or some other discard outlet, discard the Circular Logic, pay 1, and then you effectively excuse me, Logic Knot them for like 17 because your graveyard was full of shit that you either discarded or just cast throughout the course of a game. And it was pretty sweet. I think this was in Standard at the same time as Fetch Lands too, so Circular Logic being powered up was like ridiculously easy. I think those were in Standard at the same time. Don't quote me on that. But I do remember, like, this was a really, really good Standard deck that was, like, rotating out as I was learning. And it actually made me a little sad, because this is, like, definitely a thing that I would have wanted to play for sure. Nice synergy. It was. Like, the deck was really powerful. I'm pretty sure this was the best deck in that Standard format at one point in time. And to be honest, this probably could have been played in the extended format back then. Because it's not like you had, like, the ultra overpowered creatures that we do now. Like, at that time period, like, you know, there was no such thing as Tarmogoyf, and there was definitely no bullshit like, I don't know, like Brazen Bow or Questing Beast or anything like that. So, like, the 4/4s were just, like, really good out of this. So that's kind of our throwback here for Hell Mongrel. So let's go ahead, come back here. Loathsome Curator, what do you do? Exploit. Menace. When you exploit somebody, destroy a creature you don't control with mana value 3 or less. Sure, why not? Okay. I mean, Menace is obviously pretty good, but, like, the card's medium. When this thing dies, you get X-tapped. Squirrels, where squirrels is this thing's power? Cool. Home is where the heart was. Nice flavor text, but yeah, okay. This is... I can see a lot of potential for this, actually. So... one card that I think I'm going to end up building a deck around, and cards like this are why I wanted to wait on the spoiler for at least this card. I do want to try building something around Goblin Bombardment. And it looks like I was right to wait on that, because, like, cards like this come out that just generate shit tons of value by themselves, and happen to be zombies, which go really well with Gravecrawler. So this may or may not have a lot of potential. Like, this goes well with zombies, this goes well with squirrels, this goes well with sacrifice things. So this is the kind of card that will find its way as a role player in, like, 3 or 4 different decks, even though the card itself is, like, a little medium. I think this is going to be one of those really solid little common role-playing cards that it's never going to be, like, a $5 common, but I don't know. This card seems above average. Not exactly the kind of... This doesn't go in anything that I would really play, But I can see this finding its way as like a 1 or a 2 of in the Yawgmoth deck, maybe. Like something that wants to sacrifice a bunch. Oh, this thing's sweet looking. Tizerius Charger. Okay, so it escapes with either flying or a +1 on it. Sure, why not? Card's not great. Card doesn't suck. Not good enough for constructed play, but like, the card seems super sweet and limited. Tragic Fall. Oh, it's Morbid Slip. Okay. Or Tragic Slip. Tragic Slip. Morbid is the mechanic. Yeah, Tragic Slip. So this gives -3 instead of -1, but it costs 2 instead of costing 1. And then Hellbent instead of Morbid. Okay. Okay, so let's check out the card we're referencing here. Tragic Slip. So Morbid is -13s, but the base is -1, but it only costs 1. Where Tragic Fall here is 2 mana for -3s, but 13/13 if Hellbent instead of Morbid. So we have yet another throwback here, but I think this one is honestly way worse than Tragic Slip. Because, like, you just, like, never really want to be Hellbent, but there are a lot of situations in which you want to trigger Morbid. So I don't think this card's honestly not great. What is this? Vermin Gorger. Sack, draining, gain 2s. Meh. If it was just sacrifice and not tap sack, that card would be a lot better, but obviously that card would probably be super busted if you could just, like, not tap. So 4 mana, 4/3 reach, huh? Whenever this thing attacks, if they're Delirium, you Blazing Volley. Okay. Sure. Just insert card here. Arcbound Tracker. Menace Modular. Whenever you cast a spell that is not your first one each turn, you get a +1 counter on this thing. Cool. Very cool. I don't think this will actually see play in any of the combo decks, even as a sideboard piece, because, like, costing 3 in this is the same as Aria of Flame, and honestly, Aria of Flame will just get people dead. Like, this card seems just, like, way better as a 3 mana reward for casting spells that doesn't actually require you to cast all of your spells in the same turn. Whereas this Arcbound Tracker is... I mean, I hate to use dies to removal as an argument, but, like, a lot of the combo decks, like Storm, for example, the whole point of those decks is that they get around traditional ways to win games, right? Like, removal is decent against Storm because you can kill things like Baral and Bergi, but, like, you can't Path to Exile an Aria of Flame or Fatal Push it. And having this as your really high payoff instead of your enabler, and then having them kill your payoff seems really, really bad. Killing your enabler is nowhere near as bad as killing your payoff, in my opinion. And I think this card's just not really it. This could see some non-zero amount of play in Pauper. I don't really think that's going to be the case. Just like Menace and the ability to be big seems fine. But I think 3 mana is too much for this in Affinity. And I don't think this card's anywhere near good enough for the slower attacking decks, since those all have flyers and Monarch cards. So, yeah, I think Arcbound Tracker is just never really going to find a home, sadly. It's cool looking, but I don't think anybody's going to care. Lightning Spear, huh? +1/+0, has trample. Pay 3, sack this thing to bolt something? Sure, why not? That's not bad. Mind Collapse, huh? 4 mana. Oh, sacrifice a mountain. Here we go. If it's your turn, you can sacrifice a mountain to deal 5 damage to a creature or a planeswalker. Okay, okay. I have nothing smart to say about this. I don't think it's great, but I think it's pretty good. No, I'm capping. This card's actively pretty good. Like, sacrificing a mountain, yes, is a very real cost. But, like, a free removal spell is not really something to sleep on. I don't necessarily know who initially wants this card, but this card still does seem pretty sweet. Like, Prowess, just getting a free removal spell that's, you know, not bad out of the sideboard. Like, it can kill Sprite Dragon, even if they have mutagenic growth. They can immediately kill any of the 1/2s, even through a mutagenic growth. It will not kill a Stormwing entity through a mutagenic growth, but 5 damage isn't bad, like if they have any other singular spell that doesn't save them. So Mind Collapse might actually be pretty good in the prowess decks, just as like a mirror breaker. Oh, seems good. Mount Velis Manticore? Alright, what are you? Beginning of combat, you can discard a card. When you do, this thing deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of card types the discarded card has. Meh. No, thank you. Revolutionist. A 6 mana 3/3 Madness is 4, and it's an Archaeomancer. Cool. I don't know how good this card's actually going to be in practice, but it is important to note that this thing is a common, and a lot of decks that play a shit ton of spells already have need for cards like Archaeomancer. Like, this card already sees some fringe play. Can I spell? Nope. Archaeomancer, not Archaeomancer. That's my problem. Okay. So, like, cards like this already see some very fringe play. So, I don't necessarily say that this can't. I think it won't, but I'm not going to say it can't see play. Like, a 3/3 is much bigger than a 1/2, and even though it's madness to cost the same 4, that might end up still being good enough to allow this card to see a little play. Excuse me. I'm not necessarily sure about that, but I also don't really play Pauper, so if anybody who plays Pauper has an actual opinion on Revolutionist, because I won't have a fully fleshed out opinion on really anything in that format, but I think this could see play. I don't think it's good, but it could see play. What are we looking at here? Unholy Heat, huh? 2 damage to a creature, planeswalker instant. Delirium, 6 damage. Cool. Not bad. Again, not great. Discard a card, everybody gets haste. Sure, why not? I don't like that this card itself doesn't have haste, but I get why it doesn't. I wish I wasn't packet mana. Nice. Hey, how you doing? Is that like a play on some kind of like ramen joke? Or I feel like I'm missing something about your username there. I wish I wasn't packet mana. Bannerhide Crushok, huh? What do we got? A 4 mana trampling 4/4 scavenges 5. It was my old username. Ah, got you. Discard and give haste to the madness creature. Sweet. Yeah, my only real problem with that card, Doc Needle, is that it taps to use its own ability, which, you know, doesn't necessarily go ultra well with the fact that, you know, it gives haste, because, like, I don't know, it's a good combo card for things that want to be discarded, right? Like, madness, obviously, like, proccing your madness things is going to be good, because this can both proc it and give it haste, like you said. But also, like, I don't know, I feel like Flamekin Zealot probably spoiled a lot of the people who were playing decks like Dredge. So I'm probably having a bit of a boomer moment where if I'm playing things out of the graveyard and doing a bunch of broken stuff in one turn, I want to just like get them dead with something like this. But this doesn't necessarily have to exist in the same space as this, you know? Like, they can serve different functions. I just got into Magic the Gathering and thought I might watch some streams to get better. Oh, cool, cool. So obviously this game has a lot of information, a lot of things in it. It's pretty complex. And what I'm doing now is going over a lot of the cards that will be released online tomorrow from the newest set. It's going to be called Modern Horizons 2. This is going to be a lot of stuff that's very relevant for one of the bigger tournament formats, Modern. And to be completely honest, it might be a little bit of a complex place to start, but you can definitely use this as like a starting point to just witness people being excited about the game and, you know, just checking out how much cool stuff there is for people who are a little more experienced to get excited about. But I suppose the first thing I probably want to ask you if you're a brand new player is, do you have a goal within Magic? Are you actively trying to be a tournament player? Are you playing casually with friends? Like, what is your, what are you trying to get out of Magic, I suppose, is what I want to ask you. And while I'm waiting for that answer, let's finish looking at this card. Reinforce. Okay. So, like, this card is definitely, like, a super limited all-star. Because, like, it's good for 4, it's good for 2, and it's good for 7. So this is, like, one of those cards that, if this was, like, any other set, this would probably be the best common out of that set. Welcome to Magic Beware. Dre usually plays a very complicated deck, but the coolest one for sure. Yeah, I definitely love the deck that I play. I am, definitely not competitive, so I'll say casually. Okay, cool. So, I will definitely say that most of the advice that I will give on this specific channel is not necessarily going to be aimed at someone like yourself, because I do play competitively and I am not very versed in the world of playing casually. However, I like to think that I'm pretty friendly. So, like, if you want to just, you know, absorb the environment, join the chat, and ask questions about Magic, I can certainly help out with those just fine. But definitely do know that if you're looking to play casually, the type of information that you will receive on this channel is not going to be what you should expect out of your local playgroups when you do start playing Magic yourself. So yeah, I am definitely a bit of a tryhard. So what have we got here? Deepwood Denizen, huh? 3/2 Vigilance, 6 mana, draw a card, but it costs 1 less for every +1 on guys you have. Meh. Even in Hardened Scales, hard pass. No way. Nope. Good creature type, good keyword in Vigilance, synergy with Hardened Scales, still wouldn't touch it. Crack Open, huh? Destroy target artifact or enchantment, create a treasure token. Why is this card a damn sorcery? Man. This is definitely not going to be like, I just want to know what kind of cards are better than others. Currently, flying enemies are terrifying. So that's really funny that you actually say that. Oh, that is so funny that you happen to say that. The reason I find that statement hilarious is because the deck I play is specifically blue and white spirits. The entire deck is flying. So the kind of deck that you happen to find the most terrifying happens to be the deck that I'm known for playing, which that's why I find it so funny. There's in the tournament format that I usually play, it's called Modern. There's something like 70 decks that you can play at any point in time, and you happen to pick the one archetype that, because I'm also the only deck that plays a bunch of flying creatures on purpose too. That is so funny. It is nice when you're the one flying over facts. That is so funny that you happen to say it like that. So, but even in the world of like more casual Magic, there's a lot of things to do about it. Have you already discovered what your favorite color within the world of Magic is? Or what types of cards you like? Or are you still just kind of in the absorbing information phase? Duskshell Crawler, huh? So when this thing enters the battlefield, you get a +1 on somebody. Everybody with a +1 has trample. Not terrible, not great. The picture was pretty sweet, though. Like, this big-ass beetle-looking dealie on top of, like, a Ravnica streetlight. The Scrub and Scrubs? Hey, what up? Thanks for the subscription. How you doing? Barely played. Okay. So we're still kind of, like, absorbing information. Cool. I've done some color challenge things. I don't know what a color challenge is. Does anybody know what Packet Mana is talking about? Because I do not. Meanwhile. I'm actually looking it up too. Oh, it's one of the tutorial things within... Oh, no. Looks like you had the name right. I just didn't know what the heck you were talking about. So MTG Arena color challenges. I'm gonna learn something new right now. So this must be part of the new tutorial thing. Okay. Oh, it is. Okay, so Arena has color challenges as part of their tutorial thing. Cool. Yeah, okay, so they start off with 5 robot matches against planeswalkers. So you play against the AI, and then after you face all of the 5 colors, you then fight Nicol Bolas. Okay. That would be why I didn't know about this, because I didn't do the tutorial when I played Arena. Okay. Okay, cool. I think Arena's a good place to start. It's free and it kind of looks good. Yeah, that's a real thing. So, like, Magic the Gathering Arena, if you're playing on this system, is... I mean, it's also really good that it just happens to be available finally via mobile. So, if you want to, like, have something that's accessible either on your PC or on your phone, bam, life is super easy. The fact that you can free-to-play, and that's the option I usually go with. Like, I've put a little money into Arena, but, like, nowhere near enough to say that I actually, like, pay to play, you know? So that option's totally available. And it does look really nice. It goes out of your way to, to be good at teaching people how to play, apparently. Like, the color challenges sound like exactly the kind of thing you want to do to get a basic grasp of the game, which sounds really good, you know? So I'm glad you're already having fun with it. And I am actually glad for the fact that I got to learn something today, because I had absolutely no idea what a color challenge was here. Actually, I think that's a pretty good point too, Doc Needle. So if you do want to purchase cards, the newer format, Standard, is the one where you can play with all of the newest cards, but because you're only playing with the newest cards, the format does have a rotation like once every 2 years where you need to adapt to whatever the new Standard format is so that you're always playing the newest cards. There are formats like Pioneer and Modern that they're called non-rotating formats, and in those formats you simply don't have things rotating every couple of years. You get to just, you know, play your cards forever. For example, the deck that I'm playing, Blue-White Spirits, I've been playing the same deck, essentially, for about 2 years now. Yes, I update it when new cards come out, and I change my, you know, specific list by about 4 or 5 cards every few weeks because I like to adapt to what other people are doing. But if you want to play the same deck forever in those formats, you can. You don't need to change shit, which is awesome. Especially if you just, like, are trying to play, like, I don't know, like, relatively casually. Maybe you go to your local gaming store once every few Fridays and just jam 4 rounds because you feel like it. The non-rotating formats are near perfect for that, because you can just bring your deck whenever you feel like it. Even if you have the same deck for 5 years, you know that that deck is going to be good for all of those 5 years. So Doc Needle raises a very good point for that. And Commander, if you're looking to play casually with a bunch of people, this is going to be something that I'm not versed on at all since I do not play Commander. But Commander is a great format for a lot of people who like playing casually. In a lot of people's opinion, it is the most fun format, and it is the most played format in all of Magic. To explain, what Commander is a format in which you have 100 cards total, and you choose a legendary creature to be your commander, and you kind of keep your commander separate from your deck. Like, your commander leads your deck, right? And every other card in your 100 card deck, you can only have one of each card, unless they're like basic lands. And the idea is that you play with sometimes one-on-one, but you can also play in, like, just big-ass groups. So if you want to play like an 8-person game, you can do that. And everybody has their commander. All of the color of the cards in your deck match your commander, and you get to just, like, play that format. And there is no such thing as, like, say, Commander tournaments or anything. You don't have to be cutthroat or try hard when you're playing Commander. You can just play whatever the hell you like and have fun doing it. And there's it's a really good environment for people who are looking to play, I guess, friendly or casual or whatever word you want to attribute to non-try-hard, non-cutthroat Magic. And there's a lot of really, really good people out there who are actively, like, creating Commander content too. So if that sounds like something you're interested in too, I think I would definitely, like, point you to some people who do play Commander, because I do know a couple of people who create Commander content now too, because some of the people I know introduced me to them, and it was actually really sweet. So remind me to do that if that is something that you're interested in. I can put a couple of names in the chat here for you. So we got to learn what a color challenge was, and this looks like something that's really good for teaching people how to play too. So it sounds really good that you're already getting a pretty positive experience out of the game itself, which is really nice. So where are we? We looked at Dusk Trawler. We are now looking at Flourishing Strike. Alright. Alright, so choose one. 5 damage to a flyer, or +3s, or you pay 5 to get both. Okay, sure. Insert plummet effect here. Jewel-Eyed Cobra, huh? 3 mana, 3/1 Death Touch. When it dies, you get a treasure. Sure. Cute. Insert Guardian Snake here. Smell Fear. Proliferate and Fight. Sure. Dihada's Ploy. I think this arena tutorial helps begin to understand how different colors play in different ways and they have different philosophies. Yeah, that sounds like exactly the kind of thing. And that's also why I like to ask people what, if they have already discovered like a favorite color or a color combination, because you're definitely right about that too, Doc Needle. I have taught people how to play Magic using the, if you remember the Duel of the Planeswalkers decks, like where your local gaming stores would have these like 40 card decks that are all one color, and they're all right around the same power level. I'm having a hard time picking a color. Okay, well, how about this? Packet Mana, have you played any other card games, or is Magic your first card game? That is probably gonna get me to a decent parallel to see what kind of Magic you probably would like, assuming the answer is yes. It's my first? Oh, okay. Yeah, in that case, I think what my suggestion is probably going to be then is to, yeah, do the other 2 color challenges, because I think you said you did 3 of them, right? So, yeah, I'm going to say do the other 2 color challenges, and then see if any of those things just kind of, like, click for you. And if so, great, that's a good place to start. Also, remember that just because you are currently playing with decks that are one color does not mean you have to stick to things that are one color. So if you like, I don't know, say for example, this card happens to be both blue and black. If you play with your color challenges and realize, oh shit, I like a little bit of what blue is doing and a little bit of what black is doing, okay, cool, combine the two. There is absolutely no problem with playing a 2-color deck. It's actually encouraged by a lot of people. Like, for example, the deck that I'm known for playing, Spirits, it is both blue and white. So that is probably going to be my first piece of advice, is going to be to finish the other 2 color challenges before deciding really anything, so that you have maybe a little bit of more of a developed idea as to what you might actually like. So if something really sticks or clicks with you, then I would at least use that as a starting point for sure. So draw 2 cards, drop a card for 3 an instant. You gain life equal to the number of cards you have discarded this turn, and Jumpstart. Jumpstart's cool. Yeah, I don't know. This card seems okay. This will probably see play. Like, this card, because it's an instant, this card seems pretty good, actually. Like, gaining 1 life if you're just casting Dihada's Ploy is, like, whatever. But, like, draw 2, drop a card with Jumpstart? Man, that seems strong. This is, like, for a blue-black control deck, like, probably, like, a very slightly upgraded, like, Think Twice, which might still be good enough to see play. I don't know. We'll see. Foundry Helix, huh? 3 mana, sacrifice a permanent, and it's literally Helix for 4. I can see this seeing play. I don't know if a deck like Burn really wants this, because sacrificing like a land is a pretty big deal, but this card has the potential to see play, like Lightning Helix plus this thing, plus Boros Charm. That's some hyper-efficient burn, especially when you remember that we're already getting Flame Rift into Modern. Also of note, this thing is common, so this can see play in, I don't know, some kind of like Boros deck that already wants to play like a shit ton of tokens or something. Like, this card gives, like, for example, Boros Monarch a potentially insane amount of reach, so something to be aware of if you do play that format. What are you? Storm God's Oracle, huh? Okay, 1 mana to transmute if, or rather, +1/-1. When it dies, it bolts something. Okay, sure, why not? I do like the little throwback. It's referencing Keranos right in the flavor text. I do miss Keranos. Destroy a creature, Madness 2. Nothing really special here. Card's good. It won't see play in anything, I think, but card doesn't suck. It's the same color combination as Terminate, which doesn't really bode well for it, but... Ooh. Whoa, hi. Hello. When waves if there's a battlefield, investigate twice for green and a blue? Never mind a flying 3/2. We don't give a shit about that at all. The evoke is crazy on this thing. Are there cards that summon other cards on trigger? Yes. So what you're looking for is something that creates tokens, and there are a lot of cards that create additional creature tokens or things like that. For example, this Blade Splicer here, for example, this card is just like a 1/1 by itself, but when Blade Splicer enters the battlefield, you also create a 3/3 colorless artifact. And that artifact can also attack and block like any other regular creature too. There are a lot of things that have... let's try it like this. Yeah, check it out. Like, if I just put in the words create and token, there's over 1,500 cards that let you do that. You have a lot of options. If you are looking to just kind of like overwhelm your opponent with a shit ton of creatures on the cheap, then I think what you would probably like would be a deck that plays both green and white, because the colors of green and white are both very good at making a lot of creature tokens. So that might be a good place for you to start if you happen to like playing creatures that summon other creatures. Yeah, so it's not quite like Yu-Gi-Oh where you're directly fishing creature decks or creatures out of your deck, but there's a lot of ability to create creatures out of, like, say, hammer space, because that's basically what tokens are. Great, I already played a lot of green. Cool. In that case, yeah, like, check this out. Let's see. So this is going to be a little bit of an older article, but if we... Whoa. There we go. Oh, that's going to get into way too much information to start with. But yeah, so we're not going to overwhelm you with information. But what I will say for starters is that, yeah, so if you already have played with the green because of the challenges, of course, if you have not also played with any of the white cards yet, I think that's going to be my suggestion for your next color challenge, to see if that ends up being a combination of colors that you enjoy playing. Because the green cards, especially a lot of the newer green cards, have the ability to be very powerful. And white also has a lot of creatures that you can make on the cheap. Excuse me. And a lot of the cards that are both green and white are very good at making additional tokens or giving you benefits for having a shit ton of creatures on the table. So that might just be the kind of deck that really suits you. And yeah, let's head to our next thing, because that sounds like exactly the kind of thing that you may end up enjoying. 3 mana to drop a card, and you shock a creature or planeswalker. Okay. Discard outlet, nice, but not great. Sacrifice this thing, put a +1 on somebody, sure. Sojourner's Companion. Oh man, this picture is sick looking. I love this thing. Oh shit, this picture is so cool. I love everything about this picture. Okay, sorry. So, 7 mana, affinity for artifacts. Oh my god, it's Mirror Enforcer Plus. Yo, if you're playing Pauper, this card is for you. Like, Look at this thing. It's so crazy. You artifact land cycling. So, like, when you're stuck, it's good. And when you're not stuck, it's good. This thing's sick. Yo. Alright. And then it has the nerve to look really cool, too. Nice. Yeah, like, this thing is literally just like Mirror Enforcer Plus. Oops. If I could type, that'd be great. Yeah, look at this. Like, Mirror Enforcer, Affinity for Artifacts, 4/4. Except now you have 7 mana, Affinity for Artifacts, 4/4, and Upside. Like, so this deck might just shift so that you're playing, like, 4 Sojourner's Companion. And if you want more big-ass finishers, you can play, like, 2 additional Mirror Enforcers on top of it. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, good job, guys. Goblin Archomancer, huh? Oh no, Anarchomancer. They typed it wrong here. So Goblin Anarchomancer. Everything that's red or green costs 1 less? Oh, that's dangerous territory. Okay. Cool. So we're trying to talk our way into Red-Green Storm. Is that what we're doing here? Sinkhole Boomer, Changeling Outcast Boomer. Lava Belly Sliver. What are you? Is this a reprint? Or is this new? No, this is new. Okay. I don't know. I feel like this card already existed. Is that thing a reprint? It did exist. Okay, okay. I'm like, am I tripping? I swear I've seen this card. That's because I have seen this card. Okay, so it's just a boomer version of Lava Belly Sliver. Sure, sure. Force of Vigor, boomer. Oh, about time. Captured by Legox? What are you? An aura. Okay, pacifism. And, ooh, support 2? Nice, nice. This thing's sick. Alright, thanks for the advice. I think gotta go for now. Okay, cool. So, you enjoy your day as well, and if you do play the rest of the color challenges, I don't know, come back at some point, let me know how the white cards work out for you too. I hope you find something you like. But either way, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for stopping in. Captured by Legox. That is a... what is it? Generous Gift? Yeah. Tavern Scoundrel. Whenever you win a coin flip, you make 2 treasure tokens. I think we've seen this. A Boomer Plague Engineer. Kaleidoscorch. Converge. X is X's colors, but flashback 5? Okay, okay, sure. That's a thing. I think we're getting onto cards I've seen. Whenever you gain life, you get this many counters on each creature you control, but only once a turn? Whoa, wild. Break the Ice. Okay, okay. I don't think we had a discussion about this. I've seen this card, but I don't think we had a discussion about it. Yeah. I know where I saw this. I saw this on the Spirits Discord. I did not see this with you guys. So yeah, so I think this card's great. Ooh. Excuse me. Destroy target land that is snow or could produce a colorless. And then overload for 6 and destroy all of their lands. That is... Wait. Destroy each land that is snow or could produce colorless. So it actually, if you overload it, it will kill your own lands too. So be careful about that when deck building. But for black, destroying everything from Tron seems great. Destroying anything that is snow also seems great. And it's just like a sinkhole that's really good against Tron. I don't know. There's not really much that needs to be said about this. The card's great. It's good for if you're playing black and you were previously trying to rely on shit like Fulminator Mage to help control Tron. You no longer need to worry about what happens if you're on the draw. You can just play this Break the Ice and kill their second land before they can make a third land drop. So you don't need to like get Tron'd out by having them make their third land drop and then they use Karn Liberated minus on your land, and then you get stuck holding a Fulminator Mage all game. Like, that doesn't need to happen to you anymore because you have this 2 mana solution rather than a 3 mana solution. So that's kind of lit. And the fact that it's double black, making it hard to cast, is also really good. I do like the fact that this card is not easy to cast. So, like, you can't just go, oh, well, I don't know, I'm playing just, like, 3 black sources in my deck that I can fetch for. Okay, I'm going to break the ice now. No, like, it's not that easy. It's not like Cleansing Wildfire. You can just do this and it's cool. What was this, Healer's Hawk Plus? Yeah, this is Healer's Hawk Plus. Okay, so we're on cards that we've seen now. Affinity for Artifacts, 5 damage. Ugh. Back button. So we are not going to be the beneficiary of anything directly, which is actually still not full-on sad times here. So what I've done is... Am I logged in? I am logged in still. Cool. So what I did was I went over to this site, MTG Goldfish, and I drew up a few deck lists. Luckily, none of the deck lists that I have made have really been changed because of any of the cards we saw today either. So the deck lists that I'm looking at are still the ones that I think I plan on trying. And what we got to go over on Monday, before my power freaking went out, was a mono-white Martyr Blade list, if you will. And I think that deck has at least some potential to have legs, right? Like, if you're playing against any control deck or any combo deck, then, well, you're playing white. So you can just play some really good sideboard cards against a bunch of stuff, and it's probably good enough, right? And if you're playing against anything that resembles a creature deck, you will just run them over. I think that deck is very good against the... where do you find my decks? Ah, here it is. So I've got a few lists to go over. So as spoiled earlier, we got to look at Green-White Enchantress. I also put a Blue-Red Delver list up for Legacy. And this one's going to be fairly obvious because Dragon's Rage Channeler is, I think, just as good as everybody thinks it is. A Blue-White Flash list, and of course, Blue-White Spirits featuring new cards. So I'm going to save that one for last, I think. So first, we're going to check out this Green-White Enchantress list because it is the farthest away from anything that I would naturally play on my own, but I think there's a lot of room for just doing cool shit, right? So what we got going on here is a bunch of, well, enchantments. There's 27 enchantments in this deck. And we're playing 21 lands with a giant pile of basic forests. As for the rest of the mana base, you get a Hall of Heliod's Generosity, Prismatic Vistas because you want to get basic forests as often as possible, Windswept Heath because, well, same thing, and then 4 Temple Gardens. And the reason we're playing 7 forests, 4 Temple Gardens, and 8 ways to get those... Hey, what up, Saltar? How you doing? Is because we very specifically want access to forests. We're playing both Utopia Sprawl and Overgrowth so that we can just like use our lands to just make a mega shit ton of mana. And this is going to be especially true with Arbor Elf. So if you have Arbor Elf plus Utopia Sprawl, anybody who's played against Heliod will know that gives you 4 mana on turn 2. It's ultra sweet. You also have the ability to have Overgrowth, and Overgrowth plus Sprawl plus Arbor Elf means that you have a lot of potential for a lot of mana. You also have great ways to draw cards, too. So we've got Enchantress's Presence, which is now going to be in Modern. So whenever you play an enchantment spell, draw a card. But also, we get the new card, Scythes Harvest Hand. Even though it's legendary, we still want to play 4 of these. I had a feeling today might be out of the ordinary after your sudden alien abduction yesterday. Yeah, it was, oh man, I was so mad. So, as I was telling everybody else earlier, my whole, like, neighborhood went out of power on Monday because somebody hit a transformer pole with their car. So, like, obviously the stream died, and I ended up having to, like, go outside and touch some grass on Monday because, like, inside was just not an option. So, yeah. Was pretty angry, but that's okay because today we got to go over the rest of the cards spoiled. So we really got to see like a lot of the common cards spoiled from this set, and now we're going over deck lists. And this Scythes Harvest hand is going to be a pretty big player in this green-white enchantress list. So whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain a life and you draw a card. Upside, it's cheaper than Enchantress's Presence, and you gain a life every time. Downside, it's a creature, so it's easy to kill. But we got another card in this set, Sterling Grove, which means that Scythes as an enchantment creature is going to be very hard to kill. We got Sterling Grove. So other enchantments you control have Shroud. Oh, actually, that's probably a little hard to see, huh? Let's do that. Where's Sterling Grove? Here we go. That's probably a little better. So, yeah, other enchantments you control have Shroud, which includes your enchantment creatures. So, like, once you have a Sterling Grove on the table, Scythes Harvest hand, well, they're not going to be able to Fatal Push this thing anymore. So, this thing's just going to be on the table, it's going to be safe, and it's going to do its best impression of an Argothian Enchantress. Which naturally has Shroud, but is not an enchantment itself. So that's what this is. It's whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card, but she naturally has Shroud. So you don't get a natural Shroud enchantment draw card thing here, but you still get a creature for 2 mana that you can still protect with Sterling Grove. And if you need additional protection on it as well, then cards like Greater Oromancy exist too, where other enchantments you control have Shroud, and enchanted creatures you control have Shroud as well. So if you need more than 4 of these Sterling Grove style effects, Greater Oromancy is a card that exists, but I don't think we necessarily need it. However, the option's there. We also got a great enchantment removal spell in Soul Snare. So you cast it, you draw a card off of your Presence or your Scythes, and then you sacrifice Soul Snare, you exile a creature that's attacking you. So if they're trying to come at you with, say, a big-ass Stormwing entity, Soul Snare sucks to be them. So that's going to be cool. Also for enchantment creatures, on top of the Arbor Elf, we've got 4 copies of the new Sanctum Weaver, which does its best Sarah Sanctum impression. You just add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Very cool. So between the Arbor Elf, the Sanctum Weaver, your Utopia Sprawls, and your Overgrowths, you have access to a lot of mana. You get to use that mana because you're playing Enchantress's Presence and Scythes to draw cards. And your big finishers here are going to be 2 copies of Sigil of the Empty Throne. So whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you just get a 4/4 Angel. And because you're drawing cards along the way, you have a shit ton of mana so you can cast all your cool things. And Sterling Grove will let you look for an enchantment and put it on top of your deck. So you can look for mana when you need mana, you can look for a draw engine when you need a draw engine, and you can look for a win condition when you need a win condition. So that's going to be one of those things that you will need a couple of turns to kind of get the ball rolling without a creature dying, because your creatures are pretty important to your game plan. But if you can untap with these creatures, woo, it's going to be nice. So sad all the new spoil spirits are, well, not part of the spirit squad, to say the least. Facts. So that's actually where I wanted to go with the other deck list that we're looking at too later, is the fact that we did not get really any spirits that are actually any good, which kind of sucks. But we got a lot of cards that are spirits adjacent or will be good enough to the point where we can see play in spirits anyway. And I will say, at least for now, that I'm not disappointed. Like, would I have been a little bit happier if we got either Blue-White Canopy Land or straight up just got like a nice new Broken Spirit? Of course I would. But we got a lot of stuff anyway, and I think I'm still satisfied with the way this set worked out for us. So we'll check out my spirits list later and then see what I mean by that too. But yeah, so this is where we're gonna get like the cool things here, and then a few things that I thought about trying but ended up cutting out here. Obviously we get to play like the one Banishing Light, because just like having a catch-all that you can search for with Sterling Grove is also really sick. Yeah, seriously, the Blue-White Horizon Land was my biggest hype for this set ever since Modern Horizons 1 came out. And yeah, like a Blue-White Canopy Land would have been super perfect, but like, we didn't get it, so it's kind of what it is. But we got a bunch of free spells, and I think I'm very excited about that. We also got low-cost spells, so I think we still got tools. And then also Hall of Heliod's Generosity. So back here, one thing that I wanted to find room for, but ended up not playing because I thought it was a little too greedy, was Shark Typhoons. So remember that Shark Typhoon is an enchantment. You can actually cast Shark Typhoon kind of easily between Arbor Elf, Utopia Sprawl, Sanctum Weaver being able to make blue. You have fetch land, so if you want to play like a Breeding Pool, that's an option. And if you wanted to do the thing where like you cycle Shark Typhoon every turn and then Hall of Heliod's Generosity to put Shark Typhoon back on the top of your deck to have infinite sources of cycling, then that is a thing that you have access to. That's already a Legacy deck. Legacy Shark still actually plays Hall of Heliod's Generosity so that you have that interaction. So that's a thing that's on the table for you too. Or you could just, you know, cast a Shark Typhoon because you have a shit ton of mana, and if you cast like a turn 3 Shark Typhoon and can follow it up with like a shit ton of enchantments the following turn, that's also a thing that's on the table for you too. So I decided to not play that because I wanted to keep it simple and keep it 2 colors. But if that is something that you want to try with an Enchantress build, that's on the table. In before, Wizards reverts how Evoke works 1 week after Modern Horizons 2 came out. For example, cast them as an instant or sorcery instead of as an enter the battlefield and sack. Oh my god. That would be funny. That would be really funny. So here, this one's going to be what I think is the most obvious spoiler, or rather, most obvious deck list. It's literally just Blue-Red Delver for Legacy, except it's updated with cool cards. And this is going to be one of those almost nothing to see here kind of deals, because this deck, it's not doing anything particularly new, it's just more efficient. Because now on top of 4 Delver Secrets, you also have 4 Dragon's Rage Channeler. So this thing, just whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you surveil 1. So you can brainstorm, put 2 cards on top of your deck, and then cast another spell to surveil and put the shitty cards into your graveyard instead of having to deal with them. That's an option. Don't you want the Delve Dragon in Delver? You might. The Delve Dragon is not bad. However, I do not believe that it is better than either Sprite Dragon or Ethereal Forger. So don't get me wrong, it's huge. Like sometimes you can play the Delve Dragon and you can get like a 6/6, which is pretty big. But I don't know that 6 is better than like the pure card advantage that you can get from Ethereal Forger, and it's not as easy to cast as Sprite Dragon. So I'm kind of on the fence about the Delve Dragon. My experience with Forager is that it never gets to attack. That's a thing. So sometimes if you're finding that, like, you know, because you're playing against Blue-Red Delver, right? And people are like using their Chain Lightnings and their Lightning Bolts on the Forager and they have the removal spells for this thing, then it could super be the case that you just want to play the new Delve Dragon instead of Ethereal Forager. And I'm not going to say that's wrong either. I think I like the card advantage a little more, but let me pull up the card that they're talking about too, Esbalon. So, just in case we have not memorized all of the new cards yet, but I think I want Modern Horizons 2 and I want blue. Here it is. Murktide Region is the card they're referencing here. So this one is a 5 and 2, so 7 mana, but you can delve, and it enters a battlefield with a +1 counter for every instant and sorcery that you have on it. So if you delve, I don't know, 3 cards, you pay 4 for whatever the scenario is. You delve 3 instant sorceries, it's a 6/6. And whenever an instant or sorcery leaves your graveyard, you put a +1 counter on Murktide Regent. So if you play a second Murktide Regent and you delve for that one, it will also power up the first, which is pretty sweet. This will also stay true if, say, in the world of Modern, you are doing things with like flashback or whatever. So if you're exiling Lava Dart, this will power that up. If you exile something with Snapcaster Mage because you give it flashback, that'll power Murktide Region up. So this thing has the potential to be huge. So a 6/6 dragon is definitely not something to sleep on. I think, at least initially, I would prefer the card advantage from Forager to the size of Murktide Regent, but it could be that I end up being wrong about that too. So I am not going to say Murktide Regent is worse than Forager because I don't believe that. I think that, in my opinion, this versus Forager are going to be relatively even. Also of note, if you're playing on like a rental service or something, this deck is 936 ticks. If you're playing on like the $60 level on say Mana Traders, then not playing Forager saves you 108 ticks. Even if Murktide Regent comes out at like 25 to 30 ticks a piece, that's still like $60 saved, and that probably gets you under the rental limit for being able to play Blue-Red Delver. Literally all you have to do is change out these 2 Foragers for these 2 Murktide Regents. So even if this thing is 25 to 30 bucks, that'll still give you the ability to rent Blue-Red Delver rather than not being able to play the deck at all because Forager's so damn expensive. So that is also a thing that's worth considering too. That might end up mattering to a lot of people who use the rental services. Because, like, I'm a little lucky. Like, I've been using Mana Traders for so long that, like, I don't know, I got the bonus or whatever. We got to make a potential to rename Ignoble Hierarch to Nobulent Hierarch. Nice, nice. So yeah, so that's gonna be, I guess, my 2 cents on the Forager, is that you could very well want to play Murktide Regent instead, because just like attacking with a big ass 6/6 when you're playing Lightning Bolts in your deck, like, that's pretty threatening. So, like, you know, just nobody really wants to face down a 6/6 flyer. I mean, shit, look at our deck. Nobody wants to look at 2/1 flyers, so a 6/6 flyer is a pretty big deal. So it definitely could end up just being the case that you really do want to play the Murktide Regent here. I don't know. By the time I actually play Legacy again, it might end up being that I'm playing Murktide instead. 6/6 flyer, more like 8/8. It will be a 8/8 a lot of the time. I realistically expect it to be about a 6/6 because, remember, like, a lot of the cards you're delving away are probably going to be fetch lands. So, like, by the time you're playing this thing, which is probably like turn 3, you'll probably have cast like 1 daze, 1 removal spell, 1 ponder, fetched twice, and there you go, right? Because you're still trying to play like some creatures along the way too, at least assuming that you're firing on all cylinders here. But I think this card's going to end up being really good. And remember that Delve, in both cases, goes really well with this Dragon's Rage Channeler, because this will help put cards into your graveyard to make cards like these Murktide Regents easier to cast. So there's going to be a lot of very, very sweet synergies going on with this deck now. And this deck did not need a power-up, but it fucking got it. But everything else here is pretty much the same. Like, you get to play 8 copies of Delver now, because when you have Delirium, this thing is a 3/3 with flying, and it has Self-Taunt. And Self-Taunt in a Delver deck is not typically too important because you already want to be attacking. So, like, whatever. So you still get to play your 4 Sprite Dragons. I'm still playing a Brazen Borrower here because we want to have a good main deck way to deal with Merit Lage, but Brazen Borrower is also a threat, which is why we're not playing cards like Suspend in the main. I am playing 2 copies of Suspend in the sideboard, but I think in the main we still want a versatile thing like Brazen Borrower instead. And then, of course, your 2 Delve creatures. Maybe you're playing Forager, maybe you're playing Murktide Regent, but either way, I think Delve creatures are definitely the way to go because they were already good before, and with Dragon Rage Channeler, they're only getting better. But everything else here is basically the same, right? You have Brainstorms, you have Ponders, you have Lightning Bolts, your Chain Lightnings, and a thing to notice here too. So I am playing Chain Lightning because of Ethereal Forager. But if you are also of the mindset that people should be playing Murktide Regent instead of Ethereal Forager, and you see a trend in that direction, it could be the case that playing a card like Tarfire, and I'll pull that up, I don't know why I keep closing this window. I should just keep it open. Tarfire is probably going to be a little bit better than Chain Lightning if people stop playing Ethereal Forager. For a couple of reasons. First and foremost, you're going to be playing a lot of blue-red mirrors. So when you're playing Chain Lightning, with Tarfire, you never give them the ability to point your spell back at you. With Chain Lightning, it will come up that they actually have 2 red mana, so they can like point your chain lightning back at you or one of your creatures. So that actually will come up in blue-red mirrors. The second thing is, with Tarfire, it is a tribal instant, which actually matters a lot for Dragon's Rage Channeler because it wants Delirium. So if you're looking to, take advantage of that, then that is also a thing to notice. Tarfire, the Jundin Lur's Bolt, yeah, right? Like, you're not just powering up Tarmogoyfs anymore, you're also powering up these Dragon's Rage Channelers, and you're making it that much more likely for Dragon's Rage Channeler to flip, if you will. So that's something to definitely consider. I'm playing Chain Lightning because, like I said, I still expect people to be playing this card, but if people stop playing this card, then the third point of toughness is not as relevant in the world of Legacy. Still relevant, but not as much so. So that's going to be a quick aside about Chain Lightning. But everything else is still really the same here. We're playing 6 Force of Wills here, 4 Dazes, 4 Ponders, 4 Brainstorms. The number of expressive iterations I'm playing in this list is 3. And I do have the 4th one in the board. Because, like, this card is actually just batshit absurd. If you have seen this card operate in Modern, all I need to tell you is that however good you think it is in Modern, it is better in Legacy. That's all I have to say. It is better in Legacy than it is in Modern, and anybody who plays Modern knows how good this card is because it is a 4 of in the blue-red Izzet deck. It is better in the Legacy blue-red Izzet deck. There is a reason that deck is the best deck in 2 different formats, and Expressive Iteration is most of it. Yeah, like, you get hyper efficient threats, but you just getting to play with 8 Delvers is so nuts. Like, who thought this was okay? Like, the card's not broken by itself by any means, but the fact that this deck gets such a crazy consistent draw, where at least before you had to kind of get lucky to have like a turn 1 Delver, now you just don't. You just get 8 of them, so you can expect to have a turn 1 Delver instead of getting lucky to have a turn 1 Delver. So for anybody who's interested in like the math, right? Isn't there an argument for cutting Delvers rather than Young Pyromancers? I want to say that the answer is yes, there is an argument for it. And I don't necessarily... It's kind of a meme, but Delver is the worst creature in Delver. No, you're not wrong. Delver is definitely the worst creature in Delver, but I think Young Pyromancer is... How to say? Okay, so I think in Legacy rather than in Modern, Young Pyromancer is not as good, even though you have a little bit better than Dice to Swords. Cute. Okay, so let me organize my thoughts before I start saying things. Okay, so there are a couple of reasons that I just don't like Young Pyromancer as much in blue-red as I did in previous versions of this deck, like I did in Grixis Delver in the past. So the first and biggest reason that I don't necessarily like Young Pyromancer in Legacy is because Plague Engineer is like very, very, very popular in Legacy. Like, Plague Engineer sees a good amount of play in Modern, but again, if you play Modern and you do not play Legacy, it is very important to notice that Plague Engineer in Legacy is fucking everywhere, whereas Plague Engineer in Modern is a thing you should be aware of if you play Tribal, but it is not fucking everywhere like it is in Legacy. Plague Engineer is easily one of the best creatures in Legacy and is usually top 5 played. Actually, I think this site has that data. Whatever. I'll look that up later if I find out how to navigate this website. But it is almost always a top 5 most played creature in Legacy, which means that cards like Young Pyromancer are nowhere near as likely in Legacy to actually have an effect on the game as they are in Modern. Because Legacy pilots need to look out for elves, which is great and is ultra powerful in this format. They need to look out for humans out of Death and Taxes because Mother of Runes, usually untapping means doom for like 3/4 of the removal based decks in the format. Just like a single untap with Mother of Runes is just like a fuck. What do I do now for a lot of decks in Legacy? And there's cards like True Name Nemesis that exist in Legacy that basically demand an answer like Plague Engineer that get around the protection from everything. So Plague Engineer is everywhere, and for that reason, I do think that Young Pyromancer kind of sucks in Legacy, in decks like Blue-Red. However, in decks like Grixis, because those decks play, cards like Thoughtseize, cards like, Fatal Push on top of the Lightning Bolts and stuff, cards that are just like, they play a few more ways to not guarantee, but make it a lot less likely that a Plague Engineer is ever actually going to hit the table. So I think decks like that really get away with playing Young Pyromancer more than a deck like Blue-Red does. Especially now that Sprite Dragon is a card that's been printed. I think now that Sprite Dragon exists, I don't know that there's really a great reason to play Young Pyromancer as a 2-drop. Because like your 2-drop spot is crowded, if you will, because now we have Sprite Dragon, you have Expressive Iteration, you have Petty Theft off of Brazen Borrower that a lot of the time you'll want to use at 2 mana. You have a lot of things to do with 2 mana that I think are better than Young Pyromancer is Sprite Dragons number 5 and 6. That's why I wanted to bring up Expressive Iteration, because I think that was true. Exactly. I think that was true before Expressive Iteration was printed. But now that Expressive Iteration was printed, I think you're right in that Iteration pushes out Young Pyromancer. If Iteration did not exist, then I think, yes, we would have room for the Sprite Dragon. Room for the Young Pyromancer on top of the Sprite Dragon, yeah. Here we go. Cards are popular cards and staples. Okay, yeah, let's look it up. Thanks. We are looking for Legacy. Oh, number 1 still. Okay, so top creatures, Plague Engineer. 27% of decks play at least 2 Plague Engineers. So thank you for pointing that out to me. But this is exactly what I mean, right? Like, Plague Engineer is so popular that, like, at least to me, it almost doesn't make sense to try playing Young Pyromancer, because it is so likely to not have an effect on the game, where cards like Plague Engineer, I don't even think it's top 10 in Modern. Let's look it up. It's not. It's actually, it's not even top 10 in Modern. So we have Snapback, Swift. How the fuck is Swiftspear number 2 and not number 1? What? Oh my, wow. I'm surprised. Okay. Holy shit. Yo, I would have lost that bet. So, if somebody had looked at me with a straight face and bet me $100 to tell you what the most played creature in all of Modern was, I would have put $100 on Monastery Swiftspear easy, and I would have lost. Shit, Snapcaster Mage? Wow, I'm proud of you, Snapcaster. Okay. I mean, no, I would have lost that bet. Careful about how you read that. There are more Swiftspears played. Well, yeah, because there's 4 Swiftspears in decks versus 3.3 in here. Yeah, I'm okay. Learn something new here. But of course, yeah, so we see like basically the entire blue-red deck is still in the top 10 of things played, right? So we have like Swiftspear here, Zolskar here, Sprite Dragon here. I'm just saying Swiftspear is the most played creature. Oh, I see what you mean. Where you're saying that like just because Snapcaster is played in more decks does not mean that Swiftspear is played less often. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, okay, so we got this plays Swiftspear, this plays Snapcaster, this plays Swiftspear, this plays Snapcaster. Does this play Snapcaster? No. This doesn't. Okay, so I see what you mean, because like even though there are more of these decks, especially as we filter out like here and we go past like the top like 10 and start going past to the top like 20 or whatever, we start seeing more Snapcaster decks. Swiss Beer deck, Snapcaster deck. Yeah, Snapcaster deck. Okay, so I see what you mean. So yeah, so like, even though there are more of the Snapcaster decks, these have a much higher percentage of the meta, where this is 7.6, added up 3.8, added up, where's the blue, or this deck, 1.8. So that's like a total of what, like 15%? And then like you look at this top Snapcaster decks where it's 4 and 3, and I guess this technically counts 2 and 1, which is only 10%. So okay, so I see what you're getting at there. If you make a pile of all modern creature cards, there will be the most Swiss Spears in it. Yeah, that makes sense. 17% of all decks played Snapcasters. 16% are prowess decks. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, like, if you're thinking about, like, the prowess decks, like, those decks are everywhere, and they're all sharing the same basic archetype. And I'm going to count Burn as prowess for this example only as as Monastery Swiss Spear decks. You're much more likely to see different iterations of different Snapcaster Mage decks, but you're more likely to see more copies of Monastery Swiss Spear. Okay. So that makes a lot more sense. And that means I'm going to go back to having won my bet. Yay. My imaginary bet that I made with no one. Because Snapcaster is in nearly any deck that plays a lot of spells. That's why it's the most played card. Yeah, that makes sense. And that actually, like, kind of gives me a little ease of mind again. Because I was like, there's no way Esper and Blue-White are, like, that popular as a combination, right? Like, this deck is just... Oops, wrong format. This deck is just, like, absolutely everywhere. Also, I started to draw up a list for Blue-Red Delver in Modern, but if any of you are also watching Doomwake on a regular basis, looks like he already took care of that on Twitter, so I don't really want to or need to do that, but that's a thing to look out for, too. So, like, that deck was playing Dragon's Rage Channeler, Sprite Dragon, Murktide Regent, but also like Thought Scour and Mishra's Bauble and Tarfires, so that you can more easily power up your Dragon's Rage Channeler and so that you can more easily delve your Murktide Regents. So I think that is also going to be a real player, because like just having like a turn 3, actually shit, you can play this on turn 2, right? So you can fetch land Thought Scour yourself, and that's 4 cards. The next turn, you can fetch, that is card 5, use the 2 mana, play Murktide Regent. So yeah, with a single Thought Scour, you can fetch, play Murktide Regent on turn 2. So that'll definitely be something to look out for too. Not gonna lie, the WR, is that win rate? The win rate with his legacy list should be high in the current Modern too. Baubles help with that too. Yeah, like the Baubles giving you the additional card types for Channeler and the additional cards in Graveyard for Murktide Regent should be ultra good. Gutshot, I don't necessarily like Gutshot, because people are already not playing too many 0/1s to play around Lava Dart, but I do like the idea of playing just like free spells to make these cards a little better. I don't like Gutshot, but I get where you're going. Also, to be fair, I did straight up put it as a legacy deck too, so like even if I fuck up, that's not like it's I almost foolproofed myself, because I figured that I would fuck this up at least once, and looks like we did. But that's gonna be enough of Blue-Red Delver, because this Doomwake's list has Gutshot. That's why I mentioned it. Oh, okay, cool. I'm not a fan of the card either. Gotcha. I mean, honestly, like, Doomwake is much more of a accomplished blue-red pilot than I will, well, really ever be, because I don't play blue-red. So I'm actually going to say to kind of defer to his wisdom on that, but I don't like Gutshot as a card right now. It is good for pumping out your free cards. Like, it makes this a lot better for sure, and it makes the Dragon's Rage Channeler a little better for sure. So there could be some... There could be some truth to that, but at least for now, I don't think I want to play either. Play that in anything. The Swords of Modern shares, yeah. This I think is something I'm really excited about. Right, like this is exactly the kind of Magic I like playing. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And in this one, I also decided to at least try to come up with a sideboard too. So as the title hints, it's blue-red flash, or sorry, blue-white flash, and, well, everything has flash, right? So we're playing 4 Snapcaster Mages, haha, the 17%! We're playing 4 Snapcaster Mages, we're playing Spell Queller, we're playing Solitude, and I think all of those cards are gonna be, just like Ultra Solid Flash cards anyway, right? Right now I'm thinking about White-Black Flicker or Esper Flicker something, and that makes sense too, because, like, just the obvious combo of Grief plus Ephemerate, woo! Those cards are just going to be really good in day one. And those cards, the combination, are why the sideboard for this blue-white flash deck have 3 Leyline of Sanctities. Because I don't want to deal with that horse shit. Because, let's be real, Grief is going to cause some real fucking grief. Like, that card is ultra good. And somebody is going to play that thing. I don't know what deck will take the best advantage of it, but there's gonna be a good amount of White-Black Flicker something out there. And it'll win some because, like, Grief plus Ephemerate's gonna be good. It's gonna fuck somebody's day up. And somebody will have a lot of fun with that. You get to play, like, Grief, Ephemerate, Tide Hollow Sculler, all of those kind of effects. They'll be good. You'll get to have cards that fish cards out of exile, like Wasteland Strangler. You can process stuff. I mean, but it's fair. It's a 3 for 3. Yeah. Like 3 for 3. Sure it is. You see how much Jund already ruins everybody's day when they get to 3 for 3, and it's just like Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and Jund will still just like fuck your day up with that, right? Like, this is just a much better version of that. So this deck. So what we got here is 4 Snapbacks, 4 Spell Quellers, 4 copies of Solitude, and I think Solitude is just like ultra good, because like at 0 mana it's good, at 5 mana it's still good. And to go with these, I've got 2 copies of Ephemerate as well. So if you want to be the person playing like Solitude, Ephemerate to get rid of their start deck goes, I don't know, like Soulscar Mage turn 1 and Stormwing Entity turn 2, well, you can Solitude, Ephemerate and tell them to fuck their nefarious plans. So that's definitely an option that we have on the table. And no, as a Jund player, I tell you, countering spells is just discarding your opponent with extra steps. Nice. And then for Planeswalkers, we've got 3 copies of Teferi Time Raveler. And Teferi is actually a little bit important because, like, Teferi plus Spell Queller is just, like, a huge sweet combo. Especially since we have Ephemerate. So what happens is you have Teferi on the table, you get Spell Queller, it will lock down their spell, and when Spell Queller goes away, they try to recast the spell. However, Teferi will prevent them from doing that. And since we have the combination of Teferi Time Raveler plus Spell Queller, that also means that your Ephemerates immediately turn into 1 mana kidnap spells, because you can just like blink out your Spell Queller and use Spell Quellers enter the battlefield to kidnap their new spell without freeing their old spell because of Teferi's text. So that's going to be a really sweet combo you have access to with Ephemerate. Ephemerate can also obviously like blink out a snapback so that you can snap back any of your cooler spells too, like Opt, like Path to Exile, like actual factual counterspell, and of course like Cryptic Command. So you have a good mix of being able to interact with your opponent really early with this deck because of Teferi's Bounce, because of Solitude being free. You also just play Path to Exile, you play Counterspell, but also you get to interact with your opponent very well late because Teferi will stop them from playing their counterspells. You get to Spell Queller any of their cool things. You have 4 Snapcasters, which go really well with the Ephemerates, with the Cryptic Commands, with, again, actual counterspells. And what do we got here? MBY, the new mirror will be sexy in spirits because it does the same with Spell Queller. It also dunks on Grief and whatnot. Yeah, like this deck's playing Void Mirror in the sideboard because of course it helps with decks like Tron and with anything that's going to want to use a lot of these 0 mana things like Grief, like Opposing Solitudes. Like, you know, if you're playing Void Mirror, you can just cast Solitude for 5 in this deck and it's fine. But also it'll help keep spells kidnapped with Spell Queller, so that's also good. And if you're sideboarding into Void Mirror, you're probably also sideboarding into things like Narset, which means that your opponent's Force and Negations are also turned off. You decide out your own Force and Negations and you just have a good time, right? So like that's something that we totally have access to here. And I think the threat suite here is probably good enough. We also have Teferi Hero. Like, this deck doesn't really want to play Jace, because Jace, it actually just taps you out immediately, right? Which spells danger for a lot of things. Which, don't get me wrong, Jace is still really good and has been good in blue decks for basically forever. But I think Teferi and Teferi is a better combination. Daddy Longlegs, are you talking about Flicker Wisp again? This isn't, like, actually a Blink deck. We're just playing 2 copies of Ephemerate. Or are you talking about Soul Herder? Which one is Daddy Longlegs again? Either way, if you were... Soul Herder. I don't want to play Soul Herder in this deck. Like, don't get me wrong, Soul Herder is not bad with Solitude. Like, that's a cool combination. But, like, that's... I don't know, that seems way too greedy. Like, this isn't actually a Brink deck. Narset is so good. Narset is actually insane. You're not wrong. Like, Soul Herder is... I don't know, man. I don't like Soul Herder. So, a couple of reasons. A, this isn't actually a Blink deck. Soul Herder plus Solitude is a great combo. Don't get me wrong. Soul Herder is not a bad Magic card. But I think Soul Herder is the kind of Magic card that needs its own deck. So if you're playing a deck that is actually an Ephemerate deck, Soul Herder is great in those because you get to grind out value and just take over a long game. And Soul Herder is really good there. But I don't like just jamming Soul Herder into just decks for the sake of it. Like, Soul Herder plus Solitude on its own is not a good enough reason for me to want to play Soul Herder. It is a good enough reason for me to want to play just 2 copies of Ephemerate. And I do appreciate the tiny Blink aspect of that. You also get to have effectively 1-mana counter spells with Spell Queller, and that's also a cool interaction. But I don't think that's enough for me to want to play Soul Herder. Soul Herder kind of asks a lot of you when you play it. But yeah, I think this deck gets really good interaction, right? Especially now that, like, real counterspell is a card. But yeah, I like a lot of the sideboard stuff here too. So, like, the land base also is just... I'm not going to go so far as to say I think it's, like, perfect, but I like it a lot. Like, you get to play 6 basic islands, 2 basic planes, so that your mana is really hard to disrupt. You're playing, like, 6 fetches so that you can have as many basics as possible. This way you take not that much pain, which is really important against decks that you want Solitude against. Like, you want to take as little pain as humanly possible against decks like Prowess, against decks like Burn, and I think this is going to help out with that too. My cards I always want to force somehow. Daddy Longlegs, Remorseful Cleric, Aven Mind Sensor. Oh my god. To be fair, I have put Remorseful Cleric in more decks than I probably should. But I always get rewarded because they're always against Snapcaster decks and the attacking matters. I don't think it's correct all the time, but I do it a lot more often than I probably should. But yeah, you get just like a smooth mana base. You even get to play like 1 Prairie Stream, which is fine because we're playing 8 basics and 100 fetches, right? So there's that. And then Mystic Gate makes cards like Solitude and Cryptic Command just like way easy to cast. Because like if you're playing against, say, Prowess and I don't know, for some odd reason, actually no, not some odd reason, you can just do the thing, right? So, like, you're on a draw against Prowess, you have a Solitude and Ephemerate in hand, but you don't want to take 3 damage for getting a Hallowed Fountain. So what you can do is you can Flooded Strand, a basic planes, get your basic planes, Solitude plus Ephemerate, get rid of both of those threats, and then turn 2, play a Mystic Gate so that you can then have access to actual counterspell. So that's a reason to play Mystic Gate, and I don't know if I want to play more than 2, but I think that interaction was a good enough reason for me to want to play 2. Not playing Prismatic Ending? False. We are playing 2 Prismatic Endings in the sideboard. Because this is a Snapcaster deck, I wanted to keep everything instant speed, so for now, this deck is still playing 4 Path to Exiles in the main, but I really wanted to play Prismatic Ending because, well, this card is fucking great. So I'm putting 2 of them in the sideboard as supplemental counterspells. I think that this specific list does not have enough of a creature problem because of Solitude to warrant more than the 8 removal spells that we have here. So I'm not playing Prismatic Ending in the main, but it could find its way to the main because I think Prismatic Ending is really good. But I'm playing the 2 in the sideboard for now with this list. But I think between the Path to Exiles, between Solitude, you have the Ephemerates, the Snapcasters. This deck has a lot of ways to get rid of creatures and early. I hope everybody sleeps on Prismatic Ending and they all heard the Solitude. My Vials are afraid. Yeah, for real. Like, Prismatic Ending on Aether Vial is gonna suck. I don't know. That's really it. It's gonna suck. But the upside to something like that, too, though, is that a lot of the decks that will want to play Prismatic Ending, thank God, are all decks that we are already good against. So realistically, the Prismatic Ending decks are going to end up being like Blue-White Control, like Esper Control, and to some hilariously small extent, like decks like Death and Taxes might play 1 or 2 in their sideboard. But like, those aren't decks that we are really bad against at all. We can actually just like play a lot of very good Magic against that. And a lot of the time, if your opponent is using a card like Prismatic Ending to get rid of our Aether Vials, it also means that they're not killing our creatures. And even without Aether Vial, because we have our Cavern of Souls, because we have our Spell Quellers and stuff to protect ourselves, we have Rattle Chains, it's going to be really hard for them to justify using a removal spell on a Vial instead of on a creature that's actually going to kill them. So they have a really, really big choice to make, and all of the other decks that exist in the format typically aren't going to be Prismatic Ending decks anyway. So I think Prismatic Ending is a very good tool for the control decks to have gotten. I just don't think it's going to be a great tool against us. Oh, I'm sorry. You told me to hydrate and I did not redeem. Let me do that. My bad. Let's do that. That actually felt really good too. There we go. I mean, I want to see them path with Mausoleum Wanderer. Yeah, we are still really good against removal. That's not changing. But I think I like what the sideboard here is doing, right? Like, we've got Prismatic Ending, Aether Gust, 3 Rest in Pieces. And I'm playing 3 Rest in Peace as an initial thing because I really expect the combination of Grief plus Vengevine to be a pretty big week 1 thing. So, I mean, Vengevine's not exactly a secret anymore, so I think Grief plus Vengevine is just going to be a thing that a lot of people find themselves doing, and I don't want to die to that, so we're playing 3 Rest in Pieces. Void Mirror is also, like I said, just going to be really good. We get accidental synergy with Spell Queller, which is going to be really nice for us, but also just, like, this deck isn't playing any Field of Ruins or anything, so a couple of, like, hard hate pieces for Tron should be pretty good for us. So I think I like that. A 3rd Force Negation, 2 Narsets, because I think Narset's going to have, like, a little bit of a special place right now. I think she's going to be great. Rip, more like Remorseful Cleric, you stop that. But I think Narset is going to end up being really good because of Prismatic Ending. I think Prismatic Ending is going to lead to more people trying out control decks, and that's going to be a good spot for me to want to play a card like Narset. Because, like, you know, Narset's going to be pretty hard to kill with a Prismatic Ending out of the 2-color decks like Blue-White Control, which I think will make a little bit of a comeback here. Esper Control is still going to be really good, but Narset helps with that too, because they're already playing 4 Archmage's Charms, sometimes 3 to 4 copies of Esper Charm on top of that, and Narset's really good in that spot too. And then 3 Leyline of Sanctity, because I expect a few things to happen here. I expect more people to be playing Burn because of things like Flame Rift, and because of Ragavan if you're playing that, and because of... what's the 3rd card they just got? The 4 damage Lightning Helix thing. I expect people to be playing a lot of Burn because of that. I also expect people to be trying out Grief plus Ephemerate, and Leyline of Sanctity helps out with both of those problems. So I think that card is going to be one that... This is also a card that I do try to force in my sideboard, probably a little more often than I should, but it works out pretty well most of the time, so I think I like it. I really think this is going to be the 2-week time period, though, where if you are not prepared for Burn, I think that is a mistake. I think Burn is going to see a lot of play this week. So if you're playing like in a modern challenge or anything like that, just be really careful because they just spoiled some more stuff. I thought we saw all this stuff. Didn't we see all the cards? Yeah, we saw all the cards. Yeah, 303 out of the 303 cards are all spoiled. Maybe updated later in your... Oh, maybe because, like, in your time period, what is it, like 9 o'clock or something right now? Where it's only 2 o'clock p.m. here, almost. So, I don't know. So, this is going to be, I guess, my take on Blue-White Flash. And then, the thing that I'm actually going to see myself playing more than likely, obviously, Blue-White Spirits. So, we also get to take a bit of advantage of a new spell. And for the most part, our list is going to be close to the same, except I'm doing some stuff with new cards too. Oh, you didn't get the artifact salamander and whatnot yet? Oh, okay. In that case, yeah. We did get to go over all the new cards. I hope it doesn't take you too long to be able to see all of them. But yeah, so here's going to be our take on Blue-White Spirits featuring Modern Horizons 2 cards. And this is a lot of why I said that I am not necessarily sad about the fact that we didn't get any specifically spirits for us, because we still got stuff that works out well for us. So we still have our core spirits shell here. We've got the 4 Aether Vials and a giant pile of creatures. 2 Spectral Sailors, 2 Selfless Spirits, and 3 Solitude are going to be the, I guess, the flex spots or the toys or whatever you want to call it. And Solitude, for anybody who is worried about having like a low white card count, if you pay attention to Legacy really at all, or any of those like Frank Karsten type articles or anything like that, the number of blue cards that you typically want to play if you are playing Force of Will is 18 blue cards for 4 copies of Force of Will. So, you know, 4 forces and 14 other cards is typically the card count you want if you're playing a card like that, so that you can reliably have 1 other blue card to pitch to Force of Will. Here, we're only playing 3 Solitudes, but we are playing a similar number of white cards so that we can also, calling Shizzle on Soul of Migration not being a spirit and not creating spirit tokens, just... We didn't get much love here. All of the love that they would have given us, they instead chose to give to Merfolk this set. But again, I think we benefit pretty greatly. So I'm not going to go full out and say that I'm even all that sad about it. Because A, Merfolk really needed the love. And as someone who used to play Merfolk a while ago, I do still have some residual love for that deck. So I'm not mad that they got a lot of toys. But like... all of this free instant speed shit works out really well for us too, though. Like, Solitude is great for us. Like, we're already playing cards that we don't necessarily want in a lot of these really fast matchups. Like, we're playing 4 copies of each of our white 3 drops. So we're playing 12, 15, 16, 17 white cards to help satisfy the cost of 3 Solitudes. And I think that's enough, because like I said, if you're playing 4 Force of Wills, then you want 18 blue cards. Here we're playing 3 Solitudes with 17 white cards. And that is most of why I'm playing Selfless Spirit in this spot too, because I really did want a white card to fit that 2-0 spot here. So we have enough white cards to help satisfy the cost of Solitude. And remember that when you're playing a card like Solitude, it is not always the case that you want either Skyclave Apparition or Spell Queller or both. Because, like, Solitude helps kind of fill the gaps that Spell Queller and Skyclave Apparition don't. And this is going to do a lot of real good work for us, actually. So, for example, a lot of the 5 drops out of Ponza, like say Glorybringer, Elder Gargaroth, stuff like that. Solitude can help get rid of Primeval Titans that have resolved. Or what did you drop for the Solitudes? The most likely answer, because remember, like, I always start from scratch, so like what did you drop is usually not something that I kind of go with here. What is most likely the answer for other people's decks is going to be a 3rd Spectral Sailor and the other 2 Selfless Spirits. is most likely what a lot of other lists were playing in the 3 Solitude spots. Because I'm only playing 2 Spectral Sailors where I have seen lists playing 3, and I'm only playing 2 Selfless Spirits where I have seen lists playing as many as 4. So that is most likely the answer, but the truth is that I just always start from scratch anyway, so like there's not really a such thing as what did I drop. So I hope that's a good answer for that. But the sideboard, I think, is where a lot of the fun lives here too. Also, we're playing 2 Moorland Haunts in this deck too. So remember that when you cast Solitude, the card you use with Solitude is exiled, but Solitude itself will go to the graveyard, meaning that you already have instant fuel for Moorland Haunt whenever you use Solitude too. So that's going to be a bit of a cool interaction. And I also wanted 5 basics in this deck, 3 plains and 2 islands, and I want a higher number of basics here so that we can more reliably, of course, cast a Skyclave Apparition. But notice that we have, 5 basics. Solitude costs 5. So just in case your opponent happens to do some silly shenanigans with lands and whatnot, you will still have a good number of basics that, if all else fails, will still allow you to cast Solitude with only your basics. But also you just want a more... I don't think Suspend is good. I think Suspend is okay. In this specific deck, I think it is better than Path to Exile because it solves the same problems that we are already looking to solve, but unlike control decks, 2 turns matters a lot against spirits, where against control decks, if you get your threat online 2 turns later, it might not even be all that bad because like no Core Firewalker or Void Mirror. So instead of Core Firewalker, this specific deck is playing Thalia. We also have the Force Negations, and I'm playing Damping Sphere instead of Void Mirror because Damping Sphere is actually likely to help solve the problems that this specific deck has. So in the last deck, the Blue-White Flash deck, the reason that I was comfortable playing Void Mirror is because we had the interaction of Spell Queller and Teferi, making it more likely for Void Mirror to actually kidnap a spell with Spell Queller. Where here, yes, Void Mirror can help keep a spell kidnapped with Spell Queller, but like, it's not always going to do something against Tron because they have the Chromatic Spheres, the Chromatic Stars, they have actual forests in their deck, and it is just so much less likely that Void Mirror will have text with this deck rather than with the Blue-White Flash deck. But I will probably try Void Mirror at some point in Spirits because it does have a lot of good text against some decks anyway. Like, it has a lot of good text against decks that are trying to play things for 0. Like, any of the decks that are playing the new Yawgmoths will probably want Void Mirror there. It'll have great play against Eldrazi Tron. So I will probably try Void Mirror, but in the end, it will probably be more correct for this style of deck to end up playing Damping Sphere. And instead of Core Firewalker, this specific deck is playing Thalia. Because remember, like, this is not a deck that has a hard time against burn. So, unlike the other deck that is playing, like, you know, just Snapcaster Mages, just copies of Spell Queller, which may or may not even have that much text against burn because it's kind of easy to kill Spell Queller in that deck list. And is playing, like, 2-mana answers and stuff like Counterspell that don't also present a threat. Blue-White Spirits is really good against burn. Like, we do not have a burn problem. So I don't need to hedge with this deck as hard against burn, even though it is still a deck that should be respected. So we're playing Thalia, which is great against burn. We're playing Force Negation, which is also good against burn. But also, remember, Solitude, worst case scenario, we can Solitude our own creatures and we'll gain life. We have a lot of ways to help get around what burn is doing as Spirits pilots. Like, Mausoleum Wanderer will stop any of their Searing Blaze or Searing Blood shenanigans. Rattle Chains will protect our creatures from any removal spells they happen to try to point at it. Spell Queller will get to kidnap good spells. And we present a clock. So cards like Flame Rift and Eidolon at a Great Revel are actually a pretty big liability Yeah. We are much more afraid of prowess than burn. And that's actually a lot of why I am playing cards like Suspend. And that's going to bring us to our next point here, Subtlety. Because I am very afraid of prowess. I am not afraid of burn. So Suspend itself can get rid of Stormwing Entity for a couple of turns, which is good enough for us to set up. It can also get rid of a Sprite Dragon, even when it's already got counters on it. So it doesn't like phase out or anything. So when Sprite Dragon comes back, it doesn't get to keep the counters that they put all of the hard work into adding on Sprite Dragon. So Suspend for us, I think, is very good, but only for us. Like, because we are playing a tempo deck that can take advantage of the 2 turns that you get by casting Suspend. Again, if you're playing a deck like, say, like Blue-White Control or Esper Control, I think you're right, Alexandros, in which those kind of decks don't really get to take advantage of the turns you get from Suspend. So, like, I think that card sucks there. But I think in our deck, Suspend is pretty damn good because we actually get to spend the time doing something constructive, attacking. And I think it's going to be true that slower decks that don't present a great clock like Spirits does, those slower decks will be playing cards like Prismatic Ending, like Path to Exile, like, well, the 2-mana removal spells too, like Vanishing Verse and Go for the Throat and all of those things. But I think we get to take some pretty great advantage of the 1-mana removal because Suspend for us has almost no drawback. Getting their creature back later, we have Path to take it out permanently. I don't see any point to giving them an option to get it back at some point. Okay, so I'll explain. So Path to Exile, when you're playing that against as a tempo deck, the last thing we want to do is give them an additional land so that they can play 2 spells in the same turn, or in the case of Prowess, 3 and 4 spells in the same turn. Which means that, yes, it is true that you get Stormwing Entity off the table, but remember, they're playing cards like Expressive Iteration, like Fiery Islet, like Opt, that let them take really, really big advantage off of the lands that they get. Which means that Path to Exile for us is actually a really big fucking liability. Like, it is not a good idea to play Path to Exile when you can avoid it. Which is why Esper Control is so good in Modern, is because they don't have to play Path to Exile. They get to play Fatal Push. And they get to play Go for the Throat. So they don't have to give their opponents basic lands. Because it is so easy to be mana efficient that giving your opponent a land matters a lot right now. Decks are way too fast to be giving them lands. That's why I advocate the banning of basic lands in Modern. There you go. Like, giving them a land is a huge deal. It is not just like a downside of Path to Exile. Honestly, giving them a land is a great way to lose games of Magic. But because we are... Just play Leonin Arbiter if you don't want to give them lands. I mean, I did draw up a Blue-White Taxes deck, but anyway. I don't know, I don't like decks. I don't think I like Taxes as much. We can go over that list too, though. But doesn't Vapor Snag do the same plus life loss and have to spend mana to recast? Vapor Snag is another card that I was considering, for sure. Vapor Snag is not a bad alternative. The reason I wanted to play Suspend rather than Vapor Snag is twofold. A, Suspend is new. I want to try a new thing to see if it's effective. There are a lot of cards that I will just try for the science, and Suspend is definitely going to go in that pocket because I don't know if it's actually good or not until I try it for myself. The second thing with Vapor Snag is Vapor Snag doesn't do you as much good against the problems that we are actually looking to solve. So if we're looking to solve the problems of Primeval Titan, if we're looking to solve the problems of Stormwing Entity, then letting them recast it the very following turn doesn't actually help solve the problem. Excuse me. The reason Vapor Snag is good in Prowess is because Vapor Snag is not 1 life loss in Prowess. Vapor Snag a lot of the times is like 6 life loss because you're clearing the way for your attackers. What you're doing is really just like removing a blocker, so that Vapor Snag is a prowess trigger, a blocker out of the way, and a life loss. In this deck, it's really just a life loss for us, which is not that good because our creatures are already really hard to block, so we don't really need the help of clearing blockers. Our opponent's blocking is almost never an actually relevant thing that happens in games of Magic. So like Vapor Snag is like get a creature off the table that we don't really care about whether it tries to block or not anyway, and they lose a life, which is not a really great card, where in Prowess, Vapor Snag is fucking amazing. It's one of the best cards in their deck most of the time when they're already attacking. But Suspend gets their creatures off the table when they are being the offensive people. And that's the problem that we usually need to solve. So, like, keeping Primeval Titan off the table for 2 turns is very relevant for us. We're keeping it off the table for 1 turn. Who cares? They can just recast it again. So, that's a lot of why I wanted to play the card Suspend. Just play Reflector Mage. Jesus Christ. I actually have played Reflector Mage in Merfolk before. It was actually kind of good. I played 4 Harbinger of the Tide and then 2 Reflector Mage on top of them with, I think, 2 Phantasmal Image at the time. Like, it wasn't even bad for the time period. Why not play 4 Solitude? You can pitch 1 to the other, of course. I like Selfless Spirit because you can pitch it too. So the reason I'm starting off with 3 Solitude is because we do generally want to see 1 in a game of Magic, but to be honest, it is probably not going to be the case where we want to see 2 copies of Solitude in too many of our games. Like, pitching 1 white card to a Solitude is enough to solve a problem so that we can, like, you know, finish the game of Magic that we're trying to play. But when you start to play 4 copies of Solitude, it will become true more and more often that we see 2 copies of Solitude in the same game. And I don't really want to see 2 Solitudes in the same game. Rather, I would see just more actual spirits, right? Like, I would rather see 2 Skyclave Apparitions, for example, in most games of Magic than I want to see 2 copies of Solitude in this deck. Because, remember, we still just want to be attacking. And I don't want to actually deplete my resources to the point where I don't have enough creatures to attack with to actually finish games of Magic. So, Solitude, you know, exiling a white card from your hand does come at a real cost. Like, you might not have the resources you need to finish games of Magic because you didn't save yourself enough creatures to attack with. And just play Hokori Dust Drinker if you want to have a long game. We do not want to have a long game. Remember, this is still a tempo deck. Like, I don't actually want to play very long games of Magic with this deck. We just want to attack, get them fucking dead, and then stop 1 or 2 things that they try to do along the way. That's our game plan. We're not trying to play like blue-white control or anything. If I wanted to play a deck like that, I would just play the blue-white flash deck that we just went over. But this deck, you know, we're still trying to attack. But Solitude helps solve the very specific problems that this deck usually has in Game 1. And that's going to be Giant Sprite Dragons, that's going to be Stormwing Entities, and, I don't know, like Wormcoil Engine occasionally, stuff like that. So we don't really want to try to be a Solitude deck, which is why I'm not playing 4 Solitudes, and which is why I'm also not trying to slot into higher numbers of white cards here. We're basically doing the bare minimum so that Solitude is playable, but we're not going so OD that Solitude is the point of the deck. So that's why I'm not playing 4 copies of Solitude, but it is why I'm playing 2 copies of Selfless Spirit, because Selfless Spirit, as you said, being a white card, helps to give us the white card count. What's your take on the Rebirth of Affinity? I think it's fine. Like, it'll be a deck. It won't be a good deck. I think that Affinity really, really wanted the Mox Opal, and not having Mox Opal is just such a big blow to Affinity that I think all of these, I don't know, I think Affinity got just enough tools to look interesting, but not enough tools to actually be good. So The artifact lands, cool, interesting, but not actually good because they all come into play tapped. So the fact that you have enough cards with the affinity mechanic, I think those are all offset by the fact that the lands are tapped, because like you still just don't get to make as many cool plays as you would have had. If they unban the regular artifact lands, then we can have that discussion. I think affinity becomes at least playable if you unban the original artifact lands. If that happens, I am definitely looking forward to brewing and revisiting that discussion. Worst case, slot Kataki into the sideboard. Honestly, that's my plan. Like, Kataki is going to be really good. It's on Tribe. They can't counter it with Metallic Rebuke. They can kill it with Galvanic Blast, but, like, you know, we're spirits. So it's pretty easy to protect our own. Pretty much every deck now can tap out and have some answer, not only blue. Yeah, and I think I really like that, actually. Because, like, having answers to the really powerful things your opponents are doing is going to end up being really sweet. Would you pre-order Solitude or wait for it to drop in price? What do you think of Solitude pitching Eidolon of Rhetoric? How much is Solitude right now? I don't have an answer for that because... Oh, 3 Solitudes, 134? Yikers. So like $45 a piece? So is Subtlety? Okay. Oof. I think my answer for the pre-orders is... And obviously don't take me at face value for this because I don't really pay attention to IRL Magic prices. I don't play enough paper Magic to be up and up on prices. So I think what I want to say here is that Solitude is probably low. I think Solitude will end up being one of those cards that is actually very good and will see play in Legacy as well. I think Subtlety is probably priced a little bit high. I think Subtlety will be one of those cards that I try, I like, and ends up making the final version of my Blue-White Spirits list. I will probably play Subtlety as a actual card. Matter of fact, I even already made a thumbnail for it, so let me see if I can just show it to you guys. Because I plan on Subtlety being very good in practice and medium. Oh no, did I delete it? Oh man, I put so much work into it. It was so good. Shit, that's upsetting. Well, that's sad times. Oh man. Oh, that's so depressing. I am so sad right now. Let me see if I saved it. Fuck, it was so good. Is it here? Please be here. No! Oh man. Oh, I'm so sad right now. That's like... I mean, I can do it again. I'm just really sad. Oh, well. So... Oh, didn't even see. Thank you, Hydro06, for the subscription on Twitch. Perfect. Why am I not getting notifications on here? Oh, well, I'll fix that later, too, I guess. I'll find out what's happening there. I love this song. Yeah, this song's sweet. We got the tools for the Esper Spirits Reanimator deck nobody was waiting for. Facts. F in chat for the thumbnail. Yeah, so I was gonna spoil what I thought was a really cool thumbnail. But I can do it again. It'll take like 45 minutes of effort at some point, but I can just do it again. That's fine, I guess. So I am really sad about not being able to show you right now, but I'll still be able to show you at some point. But anyway, the point was, what I expect to end up happening over the course of... Oh, also, can you tell I really like Fire Emblem? But what I expect to end up happening by the time the format fleshes out is that I end up being medium dissatisfied with Solitude and very impressed with Subtlety. So the reason I think I want to be impressed with Subtlety is because I think Subtlety will solve the exact problems I bitch about fairly often. It'll help the Planeswalkers out of control decks. It'll help with the Wormcoil engines and stuff out of Tron. It'll also help with both the Dryad and the Primeval Titans out of those decks. It'll also help with Stormwing Entity. So while it is true that Subtlety itself is not just like, it's not a force of will, but it is, exactly, it's like an Aether Gust on steroids, which I think will end up being more than good enough for specifically spirits, because we have the clock to take advantage of the extra turn that Subtlety can buy us. I think Solitude will end up being the better card overall. I think Subtlety will be the better card for us. So what I am hoping happens here is that Solitude will probably go up in price because it is just a insano Magic card. Like, Solitude will see a lot of play in a lot of decks. Like, the Esper decks, the Esper control decks will probably try to play Solitude. The blue-white decks will definitely try to play Solitude. Other decks that have Ephemerate will love Solitude. And Subtlety, being, like you said, effectively an Aether Gust, will probably not be that good for a lot of different decks. But for us, who chooses? The controller of the spell chooses. So if you Subtlety their spell, they will get to put the spell right back on top. Yeah, because see, it says its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. But the other thing to take note of here is that Subtlety, for us, it's a 4-mana 3/3 flash flyer. That's already on plan. We already want 4 mana, well, we don't necessarily want 4 mana, but we already want flash flyers with decent stat lines, right? Like, that's our entire deck. Like, we're already playing 2/3 flash flyers. We're already playing, 2/1 flash flyers. A 3/3 flash flyer is already on plan. Noted play 4 ruins in the main board. Are you talking about, the Mill 4 land? Is that what you're talking about? Or you're talking about Field of Ruins to make him shuffle. Either way, it's hilarious with Subtlety. But I think I will main deck 1 Subtlety. Maybe. So, now that all the spoilers are out, I'm actually going to do a whole video on Subtlety. Like I said, I already have a thumbnail drawn up. Field of Ruins to make him shuffle. Got it. So I think this will be the card that will ultimately be really batshit insane for specifically Spirits decks, because 4 mana is asking a lot of Spirits. Oh, don't worry, I already had a deck list already here. 4 mana can be a lot to ask of Spirits, kind of, but you'll see what I mean. I already have not necessarily like a workaround, but I have already accounted for the fact that it's 4 mana. So, like I said, I'll draw up my complete thoughts as Spectral Sailor. I've drawn cards with Spectral Sailor in Modern kind of more than I should be able to. But with Solitude, you won't feel bad anymore with accidentally putting more than 3 counters on Aether Vial. I guess that's a real thing, yeah. But also remember that Solitude will help out with a lot of other things too. Like, it'll help remove Spike Feeder when they're trying to do infinite life at us, even when we're tapped out. Solitude will help, like I said, just keep those Stormwing entities off the table. There's a lot of really good work that Subtlety and Solitude can do, right? In Bant Spirits, you can hold up Subtlety and Coco at the same time. Oh, that's a good point. In Bant Spirits, that might very well be a thing. However, Subtlety just existing in Bant Spirits also really, really reduces the effectiveness of your Collected Company. So I don't know if you want both Subtlety and Collected Company in the same deck, because now you're, playing a 4-drop and you're just making your Coco worse because, you're diluting your deck a little more. Void Mirror will do work against Coco. What? Void Mirror doesn't do anything against Coco. What are you talking about? No, because remember, with Collected Company, you're not casting the spells. You're simply putting the creatures into play. So Void Mirror doesn't do anything to Collected Company, because you're paying 4 mana for the spell, which is acceptable. and then you're putting 2 cards into play, which is not the same as casting spells. So Void Mirror doesn't really do anything at all there. But Siege Rhino, I think I would be, or Siege Reno, I'm sorry. I think I would be a little careful with Subtlety in the world of Bant Spirits. I still can't dismantle my Bant Spirits. I think Blue-Black is the way to go. Blue-Black what? Tears? Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, but it's good that we're having this discussion now, though. Like, I don't want you to, you know, put Void Mirror in, and reading the card explains the card. Sorry. But yeah, so, like, I don't think but it's good that we're having this talk now, though. Oh, white, blue, gotcha, okay. But I think this is actually why I'm starting off with white, blue, because it is a lot easier to put these free spells and these new cards into the world of blue-white spirits. It is a little harder to find room for these cards in Bant Spirits. But a good thing to try too, maybe, is if you're interested in playing Bant Spirits because Noble Hierarch is so good, you could just play Bant Spirits with Noble Hierarch without trying to play Collected Company. And I understand that might sound like blasphemy, but remember that turn 2 Spell Queller and being able to more reliably cast your cards like Subtlety and Solitude because of Noble Hierarch. That's a thing that you might have access to a lot more often, right? Like, you can just play the spells as free, and they're good when they're free, but you can also just play them at like 4 and 5 mana a lot more reliably because you have the Noble Hierarchs, and that's a play that you might end up coming across a lot more often. So maybe that's something that Bant pilots could try. It will probably end up just being worse than playing Collected Company and not trying to play these free spells, but if you're interested in doing shit for the science, then that could be a very real route you have, right? Why can't Void Mirror just state counter anything you don't like? I like that option. That sounds great. So let me go ahead and actually open up Magic Online here, because, oh right, it's updating. Yeah, that's a thing. Also, I'm hungry. So what I'm going to do here is actually take a little bit of a break here, go ahead and grab some food, and once I decide what I make and all that happy horse shit, then we will go ahead and come back here. Also go over a little bit more of this as far as the discussion part of things goes. And then we'll come back and actually play some Magic too, because I think it's actually play any Magic the other day because of the freaking power outage. So we'll simply do that. I will be right back. So let's do that. So let's update Magic Online.
scared shitless.
Just keep on singing, singing.
Do you love me too?
You're gonna make a lot of people happy with
The ultimate aim is to produce sound which is completely acceptable to the listener. Records that give you pleasure.
every day. Just every day. Just every day. Just every day. Just
digits, phone getting heavy. I'll pick it up, we can see where we start. I might just break your heart. Ain't never easy, it's easy, but I get by.
I'm in my element when I make a bring a beat cry. If you ever try to cross me, there'll be hell to pay. So stay out of my way. You know what? Don't.
I'm the boss, I'm the boss.
All right, I'm back. What up, everybody? Hope you had a little bit of a good time while we were, having a little bit of a lunch break there. And today's lunch was, actually leftover stuffed peppers that I had yesterday with Kristen. For anybody who doesn't know, she's a vegan. And I ended up making stuffed peppers with just like rice, mushrooms, fake cheese, like, to go in between layers, and then some fake ground beef. And, came out pretty decent. And my eyes were a lot bigger than my stomach yesterday, so I made way more food than I needed, which ended up being great today because I didn't have to really think about lunch. I looked in the fridge, was like, oh shit, yes. So let's see what I missed here. What up, Cabbage Man? How you doing? Happy Wednesday. Hopefully your Wednesday is going pretty well. I said fake beef. It's made out of some, like, pea protein or something, but it's actually pretty decent. So what are you talking about here? Let's see. I'm just kind of going back now and then seeing what I might have missed in the discussion here. Cavern of Souls actually helps Eldrazi-tron. Yeah, against Voidmere, where, like, they can just tap for blue or tap for white or tap for whatever with Cavern of Souls, and they can still cast their creatures, which is okay for them. Downside is that they're still gonna, well, not downside if you're playing the Voidmere, but they're still never gonna be able to cast their Karn the Great Creators, their Ugin the Ineffables, or any of their, like, miscellaneous spells like Maze Mind Tome and stuff like that. So it's still pretty nice that, like, Voidmere will definitely shut down most of that deck. They're just going to be able to play, like, their, 12 to 14 Eldrazi creatures, like their Thought Knots, Reality Smashers, Matter Reshapers, and if they're playing, like, a supplementary Eldrazi creature, they'll be able to play that too. So, like, that seems fine. It's in the vein of Lavinia, but worse. Lavinia is a staple in Legacy and Vintage. Not so much Legacy, definitely Vintage. Lavinia is great in Vintage. She's okay in Legacy. Like, sometimes you'll fight, like, Storm, and then you'll feel really good about having Lavinia. But, like, other than that, for the most part, you don't really care about her too much. In Vintage, Lavinia's a fucking nut. Like, she's so good there. Also a good commander. I believe that. I don't really know what applications she would have, but I'm sure she's pretty good. Pitches to force, stops 0 mana spells, makes it harder for your opponent to benefit from soul lands and mana rocks. Oh, mana rocks are huge in EDH. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. I mean, I get their mana, but not Reality Smasher. Yeah. Solitude will be one of those cards that spikes every time Death Shadow is popular in a metagame. I also believe that. I think Solitude... Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Nose itched even more than usual there. So, yeah, I think Solitude is going to be one of those cards that just ends up being at kind of a high price anyway, because the card's just good. But you're right in that the first couple of spikes, I think, will be directly because of something like Death Shadow, where people are like, oh shit, this is going to kill 2 Death Shadows at the same time. This is amazing. My life is perfect. Solitude is great. Let's make it $80. And that'll be a thing that happens once or twice, for sure. But I think Solitude will be one of those cards that will end up staying above this current $45 mark, because, like, the card is just really good in a bunch of different decks. So, and that's really going to be what makes Solitude, like, the thing you want to be doing in a lot of decks, right? Like, it's going to be good in Death and Taxes. It'll be good in miscellaneous white decks, like the Martyr Blade list we went over on Monday. It'll be playable in Spirits. It'll be good in both Blue White and Esper Control. So Solitude will just, like, and also that's just Modern. Like, Solitude it's free. That means it's going to see play in Legacy. There's going to be a bunch of decks that play blue or play white or play blue and white, haha, and will actively want cards like Solitude as well. Like, you're playing Death and Taxes, Solitude is just going to be a good thing because Death and Taxes already doesn't want to be using mana to help solve problems from the likes of Delver, from the likes of Merit Lage, stuff like that, when they could be spending the same turns developing what they're doing. And if you give them an access to a free thing, then they can pitch the Hate Bear they don't need so that they can remove the creature without sacrificing the mana to play the Hate Bear they do need in whatever matchup you're playing it in. Also, Solitude gets around Thalia, which is a huge deal in Death and Taxes. So I expect the card to see a shit ton of play, and to be honest, $45 might end up being low by the time things are said and done for Solitude. What else have I missed here? I'm so jealous. Humans got a great card draw on a 1-drop. Oh, Esper Sentinel, yeah. Esper Sentinel is really good. When I have a spirit that draws cards, play Ninetales White Fox? What the fuck is that? I'm gonna look that up. I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that a real Magic card title? No, what? Ninetail, wait, oh, Ninetail, not Ninetales? Oh shit, this is a real card. Wait. Oh, it's not modern legal. Sure. No, it's actually not Kamigawa. It's, I guess, only Mystery Booster, this global series. Oh, I remember this. This is the thing where they first, but these weren't like the playable ones. Yeah. No, I don't want to. I want to view that set. Oh well, I'm over it. It needs flying. Yeah, like this card, it's never mind not being modern legal. It's also just like not good. A 2/1 flying for 2. Okay, that I would play the fuck out of in every single format I had the opportunity to. A 2-mana 2/1 flying for 2 that when it did combat damage draw a card. Are you kidding me? Like, spoon feed that to my fucking mouth right now. Like, Merfolk are already happy about this new 3-drop 3/4 that doesn't fly. Like, yeah, when this thing attacks, draw a card, doesn't fly. Indestructible is not as good as giving each other hexproof. And Ward 1, that part's pretty nice. But, like, are you kidding? Like, there's ultra hype about this. Give me a card for 1 less that flies. And, oh my god. Oh, the new 1-drops? Oh, yeah. God, Merfolk pilots right now, man. They're living it up. Merfolk are doing it big right now. So, like, they got Sylvan, which is very good. Subtlety is honestly probably a little playable in that deck. I don't know if Merfolk specifically wants Subtlety because they don't really have too many problems with Primeval Titans. And they can solve Tron more effectively than we can since they get Spreading Seas, they get Tide Shaper, they get Rishadan Deckhand. Oops. They get like actual factual counterspell. Yeah, exactly. Like they get actual counterspell. They get like this card, Rishadan Deckhand, which is literally Rishadan Port on a 1/2. And it's playable because you don't have to have it die to just a Lava Dart on its own. They get literal counterspell, which is gonna be crazy for them. And where is Tide Shaper? Here it is. You can kick this for 2 and turn any land into an island. They're getting wet. Cute. Like Merfolk pilots right now, man, they are probably brewing up an actual storm so that they can like make the most effective use of all of these wild 1-drops they just got. So that's gonna be really exciting for them. Like that's gonna be really exciting for them. They get so many cool new tools too. It's not even like their tools are like medium or, you know, anything that they're getting is not gonna like even make the deck or anything like that. No, like this card, great, because it's not like this thing doesn't turn it into an island and give it additional types. It just literally makes it an island, so it's actual Spreading Seas. So this can also just make their land suck. So like that's gonna be great. Like Rishadan Deckhand, like this card is just actually absurd. And if they can't kill this thing, then the fact that you only need to use 1 real mana to use your Rishadan Port effect instead of 2 real mana like you do with actual Rishadan Port, that has really big implications too, because that means that you're much more likely to be able to port your opponent twice instead of porting your opponent just once. Wasn't there a 3rd 1-drop Merfolk? Was there a 3rd one? I thought there was only 2. I mean, I'll look real quick. I know there's the Rishadan Deckhand. There's a Tide Shaper. And these are definitely, like, the two really good ones. If there is a third one... No, there's not a third one. Yeah, because this is all the blue cards. All the cards are spoiled. No, Visionary is a 2-drop. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, like, this thing is a 2-drop, not a 1-drop. It just happens to be a 1/1. But also this card's, like, not good, so, meh. But, like, the four cards they got for upgrades are going to be really good, though. Like, they got Sylvan, which is an upgrade. God, this card's great for them. Like, they no longer have to worry about, like, playing just kind of, like, bullshit cards like Thos and whatnot. They can just, like, play this and be really happy about it. They can play this and be really happy about it. Oh, there's more. Did I miss something maybe over here? I don't think so, though. I think we got everything. No, we got everything. Okay. And, yeah, like, they got actual counterspell. Sylvan's gonna be really good. Visionary is magmatic and bad. Yeah, it's like, hey, what if this thing was magmatic channeler, except, you know, not. But, yeah, Merfolk got a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm actually pretty excited to see where that deck goes because, you know, like, we always want to see the tribal decks just, like, get things, even when it's not our tribal deck, just because, like, it gives us hope that they will give us tools eventually if they're setting examples by giving other decks tribal tools. But even still, we got some really good stuff for us, too, because, like, we probably more than any other deck in the format get to benefit from having free spells because our spells that cost mana or come off of Aether Vial interact with the format so well that really all we want to do most of the time is buy time against the decks that can beat us, and having a mix of Solitude and Subtlety from us solves the exact problems we have. Like, this will lock down Primeval Titan for a turn, and that's usually all we need to win games against the Primeval Titan decks. Solitude will lock down the exact creatures that fuck us up out of prowess and the like, so having something like Solitude to stop, like, Stormwing Entity from killing us or from blocking our flyers is really big game on both counts. Like, if this Solitude here can get rid of Stormwing Entity so that Skyclave Apparition and Shacklegeist can help clean up the other problems Prowess presents, that's all of our problems, right? Like, we're already really good against the removal half of the deck. Like, if they're just trying to, like, Lightning Bolt and Wild Slash our creatures, like, that's the easy part. So Solitude and Subtlety help solve the hard part. So I think these free spells for us are going to be ultra A1. Can you give the Ninetail flying with the new spirit? Ew! There is not much you can do to convince me to play that thing. So where's that really bad 3-drop spirit that's, like, here it is. Ghost Lit Drifter. This thing is the exact opposite of lit. Pay 3 to give somebody else flying? Fucking yikes. Yeah, all you have to do is pay 3 mana each turn to not have to pay 4 mana with Spectral. Woo! Mwah! Yes! Oh, 117 bad card combo. Do you think you want to slow roll Solitude or play it on their 1-drop even? I can see myself not using it on a 1-drop without prowess triggers. Honestly, I think that's going to say, if we're talking about specifically the world of prowess, I think I would give them like a turn or two to, you know, to really worry about the Swift Spears and the Soulscar Mages. I do think I would really want to get like the Sprite Dragons and the Stormwing Entities off the table ASAP though. Post-lit Drifter, there you go. Yeah, absolutely not lit. That card sucks. But I do think that for Solitude, I would definitely slow roll Solitude against their 1-drops. But against other decks that are playing 1-drops that I'm a lot more concerned with, example Arbor Elf, those I think I would Solitude right away. Because, like, I just do not want them untapping with 106 mana, right? Because if we give them time to do things like, you know, untap with Arbor Elf, and they can immediately make 3 mana with just like a land drop, right? And then that gives them the ability to play like Heliod or Spike Feeder ahead of schedule. Whereas if we Solitude a Arbor Elf immediately, then we just don't really have that problem. We can just like get it the hell off the table, and we know that Collect the Company is going to be at best a turn 3 play that is much more manageable for us. Dre taking several minutes to explain why Bolt the Bird's a thing. I mean, I don't think it was an unreasonable question though. Like, you know, there's a lot of one drops that we do want to get rid of and one drops that we don't want to get rid of, and I don't know, I think talking about the importance is pretty big. Although I'm still fake mad at you for suggesting this piece of shit card right here. Like, we're yikes. What the? Okay, this is funny. So, at Kristen's job, right? Love you too, right? Haha, yes. So, at Kristen's job, she's got like, or rather had, this one really, really, really shitty dishwasher at her job. She works at a new restaurant. And what happened with the dishwasher was this person would literally leave the workplace and just like clock out and go home whenever he felt like it. At least the art is right. I like the art. I think the picture's great. I wish this picture were on a much better card because this is like a waste of a good art. Like, I'm actually a little sad for this artist because like this artwork is fantastic. So, what is her name? Mila Pisik. So yeah, so I don't know wherever you are, Mila, or if you will ever see this, but you did a great job and they kind of played you by putting that on this card. But yeah, man, like the dishwasher, they would actually, can't say the same for the flavor text. Can't say the same for the flavor text. Channel is basically flavor text. And they ended up, having the dishwasher literally just like leave whenever he felt like it and just like went home like 2 hours before the shift ended each day. So at the end of each shift where he was working, this dude would just leave the entire kitchen without a dishwasher. So like, obviously like closing the restaurant took much longer. Life was a lot harder. If a late night party came in and needed to order food, then, you know, the process was held up all that much more because now somebody else needs to wash the dishes who could otherwise be productive making food. So like, you know, that just puts a whole cog in the assembly line. Excuse me. So apparently they were going to just like let him go on a vacation or whatever, like for a few days and come back. And when he came back, they were just like not gonna invite him back, you know, and like keep him off schedule. But instead what happened was, I guess he went to the workplace today and quit because, quote, everyone else is bad at teamwork. Which I find to be the most hilarious excuse from someone who leaves work multiple hours early each shift. It's, yeah, just an absolute mess. God, that's so absurd that it's actually kind of funny. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this and also get rid of this for now. So this is what I think I'm gonna end up starting with, but like I said, I think the end result will end up being that I like Subtlety more than I like Solitude, but I do want to try both cards. I think Subtlety will be really good for us, to be completely honest, and I'll redo my thumbnail that I'm sad about not getting to show you guys today. Oh, let's see. Gotta love how a friend of mine literally argued that I should be excited for the Conservato Angelical Spirit. Ew. Because Affinity's coming back. Meanwhile, I'm over here just answering Kataki. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, Saltar's friend. I'm not in the same boat there. I think the protection from artifacts spirit is fucking bad. And to be completely honest, if you're worried about like a creature-based archetype, we're not terribly concerned about too much of that. Like, Isn't Prowess is really the only creature deck that we are... I mean, we are ultra scared of that deck, but it's like the only one that we're really scared of, I think. Even Affinity right now, without Mox Opal, meh at best. Like, at best, meh. And I actually don't even think it gets better than meh for that deck. I think, like what are they going to do? Like, they're just going to get Skyclaved and Solituded. Like, life's going to suck. They can't put a cranial plating on anything because we've got Shacklegeist. Like, what do they do to this thing? And then Kataki can come out of our sideboard if we decide we care, which we probably won't. We also get to do things like suspending. When in doubt, get Kataki out. I like it. We did not get our spirit Thalia. No, we did not get our spirits anything. But but I think these supplemental spells to go around spirits will probably end up being close to good enough. So I'll shut up and take it. Yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I'll shut up and take it. I think this will end up being all right. But let me go ahead and get rid of this because I do want to at least go with some gameplay. And as far as actual gameplay is concerned today, my thing here is going to be that, well, regular Magic the Gathering Online is doing its update today. So, like, when I tried to click onto it, it was down for maintenance, which is to be expected, right? It's the Wednesday before a new set. But we do have a new month. So what we can do, it's up now? Okay, so I'll try it. But what I was going to say is that I can just open up Arena because, like, I still want to play Historic Spirits anyway. So I can just open up Arena if Magic Online wants to act up. And we can still just play Historic for, like, I don't know, half an hour to an hour. Because that should still be pretty fun. So, alright. So, like, that should still be a pretty good time. Actually, this is probably safer right now anyway, because I really highly... Ew, green and white. Go away. Black, green. Just as bad. Oh, well, that's nice. Cool. And I don't really care about Mavinda because I'm not trying to play Feather. We got the Reanimator Spirit that you can reanimate with a Reanimate spell to reanimate your Grizzlybrimp. Jesus. Alright, so I mean, I can try to open up Magic Online and see if it wants to behave for me. Hopefully it does. And it looks like it's going to behave. Cool. I guess I'd rather play Historic than Pioneer, at least for right now anyway, because I can just, like, not sign up for a league or whatever. Because I don't want to, like, play Magic Online until I have access to all these cool new cards, which will probably be sometime tomorrow if Mana Traders wants to act right. And because I use Mana Traders, I'm not going to, like, buy the cards, I think. I think I'm just going to, like, be okay with renting everything here. You heard it here. Blacks and green types are just as bad. Jesus Christ. Yeah, black and green cards are, not generally what I like playing. Oh, well, there's a deck with black and green. There's 2. Oh, there's 3. There's a few. There's a few. For... What the hell is this? Eldraine cards. So just, like, a bunch of broken standard shit. Oh, Obosh is black. Okay. I'm like, what the fuck is black in this deck? Alright, so it's just Teamer Adventures. Alright, go away. And I always thought I was the racist here? Yikes. Yikes. I will not be exploring that angle. So, let's see what we got going on here. So, this is, I guess, Blue-White Flash. Oh, yeah. Because what I did here was I put in Swords to Plowshares into space that would be occupied by Solitude, but I might be able to... I can, sweet, do this now. So that's going to be, I guess, what this looks like. So this should be sweet. I might try to play this. Actually, I will try to play this. I'm not going to say might, because I actually do want to see if this deck, like, has legs. And then I'll develop a sideboard and stuff for this too. So this should be pretty fun. And then this, what did I do here? This is also Solitude. Boop. Yeah. So that's the same list we got here, except I did not finish a sideboard here. Oh, the Force of Wills were Subtlety. Go away. Go away. So, yeah, so that was my little starting point before I obviously, like, finished it and put it all on Goldfish instead of here. But change that back. Swords of Plowshares is better. Yeah, I mean, Swords of Plowshares is better. Not an option, but it's better. I will not disagree with that. But yeah, this should be pretty fun though. Like, I think this is gonna be a good amount of fun here. What I think will actually end up being the final version though is that I will probably want something like this, because like, and then I will probably take out like these to put in one more land. And one more of these. This is probably going to end up what I decide on as a final version of the deck. 22 lands are here so that here we go. Let's change this to islands I already own. There. So this is what I will probably decide on as a final version of the deck. And you'll notice here that Subtlety for free is ridiculously easy to cast. The only cards that don't cast it are Skyclave and Aether Vial. And you don't necessarily mind pitching a third Spectral Sailor to a copy of Subtlety, so like that's okay. And Subtlety, just being a 4-mana 3/3 with 22 lands, is very easy to cast. Like, you can pretty reliably cast a 4-drop on 22 lands. And we've got 2 Moorland Haunts, once again, pitching Subtlety to, pitching Subtlety just like, you know, to Aether Gust as a creature spell will give you fuel for Moorland Haunt, making Moorland Haunt even better than usual here. A third Cavern of Souls is pretty decent because, like, you can put 1 on Spirits, 1 on Elemental, and you'll still be pretty happy to, like, cast uncounterable Subtleties against some decks. For example, if you're looking to, I don't know, play, like, Subtlety on a copy of like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria against blue-white or something, then it'll be good to deny your opponent the ability to counter your Subtlety. So that'll be pretty nice. And of course the fact that it flies makes Subtlety just a much better natural fit to Spirits too, because we are, you know, we want flying creatures. That's already on plan. So we want to give ourselves the ability to fly over our opponents, and unlike Solitude, which is, lifelinking is nice, but a 3/2 ground pounding lifelinker only adds to the problem of not flying that Skyclave Apparition already has, rather than takes away a problem. And just slide that one in real subtle. Nice. And yeah, so I think Subtlety will actually end up filling the gaps for this deck of Primeval Titan, of Wormcoil Engine, Karns, hell, Wrenn and 6. Like, just keeping Wrenn and 6 off the table for an additional turn, right? Like, that seems really good. Like, there's a lot of good stuff that Subtlety will help you solve, and I think this will end up being the final version of this deck, but I still want to try Solitude because, well, it's new and cool, and I fucking want to try it. So I will probably end up trying both versions, and this deck, getting to play, like, the 4 copies of Solitude with, like, the Ephemerates, counterspells, like, all these sweet new tools that we have access to, I think this deck is going to be fucking lit. So I'm going to be pretty excited to try both. If I have access to Solitude tomorrow via Mana Traders, I will probably just play this deck for a league because I'm interested. I want to see where it goes. I want to see if this is just as fun as it looks. But for now, I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want to play, like, pre-MH2 now that MH2 is a thing that I'm excited about, right? So I guess I'm just going to go in here, and we'll play a couple of matches of Mono Blue before, I guess, ending for the day. Because, well, it's still a new month, so we still have a new month's worth of laddering to help do. And I still think this deck is really good. Like, as you guys got to see last month, we got to get to Mythic relatively easily with Mono Blue, so that part was super sweet. Winning a die roll, having a hand of 1-drops, not bad. And if they kill this, I don't necessarily care because I have these with Lords. So, like, this is okay too. Cool. Oh, are we a mirror match? Oh, let's see. You have the Pioneer list on Stream Decker? Oh, I do? Okay. Let me update that. Thank you for telling me. Stream Decker, Stream Decker, Stream Decker. I want to play this into a dispute. No. I'll play this. And I will end turn. Okay, cool. So now I have Historic. And I will set Historic as exclamation deck. Okay. So that should be updated now. So if you are interested in checking out the current Pioneer list, or I'm sorry, the current historic deck list, you'll be able to just go ahead and do that right now. Perfect, good. Thanks for telling me about that. Subtlety maybe will make Path to Exile better? I guess because you can Subtlety put the thing on top of their deck, and did they keep a one-lander? Opponent. Okay. Opponent. Now let's draw a land. Actually, that might even be better. So I'm just going to attack for 3 now, and I get to hold up either the Pump on Ascendant Spirit or Memory Lapse. I like this even better. You can have your opt. So I guess it makes sense. Like, Subtlety will put the card on top, and then Path to Exile will shuffle it up. Maybe opponent has a bad net connection? What? Oh, I'm not worried about their speed of play. No, I'm talking about the fact that they kept just like 2 islands but a handful of cantrips. So either they're playing Phoenix and just like kept a really bad hand. Yeah, I'll make him cast that again. So the other option here is... Oh, hell yeah, let's go. That's pretty perfect now because I have the Siren Storm Tamer to block a removal spell on Supreme Phantom. What they also don't know is that if they just like try to play the Stormwing Entity again, I also just have the option of going Shacklegeist next turn. So this is still going to end up being really sweet for us. I assume that's a land if they put it on top. Yeah, that's fine. Uh-huh. It is, and I will save Ascendant Spirit. Nice. Alright. Oh god, where do I even start with this? So... Oh man. I guess I'm just gonna put this here. And I'll just attack here. Like, if they block, I pump. If they don't block, I draw. I have Shacklegeist, so, like, we're still pretty much in the clear here. And now I don't need to do anything. Alright, cool. So this is, like, just mostly sad times here. Opponent's playing Historic Zorax. Alright, well, go away. So now this game's pretty much over. Exciting times. Okay, cool. So Shacklegeist, 1-drop. Here's exactly 6 coming through. Tap our 2 creatures that do not have the ability to attack. And hi-ya, get dead. Hit them with the almighty dab. Alright, so there's game 1. So cards I like include Mystical Dispute, because it's just like better than Lapse and better than Lofty Denial, right? Test of Talents is really good if they're just trying to like do a whole bunch of Faithless Looting shit, because like we can just get rid of all of the Faithless Lootings. And then Graphic Cage for obvious reasons. This helps get rid of the you know, the ability to bring back their cool shit. So there's no casting their +1 in haste on the Drake out of the graveyard. There's no Phoenix is coming back. Oh, Xerox. So, like, you're thinking of the vintage deck. Got it. Historic Xerox. That makes more sense to me. Now, I'm on board. I got you now. But yeah, no, I think my opponent just kept, like, a really, really bad hand and expected their cantrips to get there, and that is just not a thing that happened because we didn't give them time to do that. But, yeah, I don't know. 2 mana interaction, much worse than 1 mana interaction. That's usually a simple recipe for us. Whoop, we're definitely not keeping this. We do not need 5 landers. Even if our lands are really pretty. For context, oh yeah. Yes. So that is a good thing to note too. So, yeah, so like the Xerox decks, what they effectively want to do is just try to execute the exact same game plan all the time. So they play like an ultra high density of things like ponders, preordains, brainstorms, ops, so that they can just do the exact same game plan every game if possible. So here they do have a Phoenix, so I would love to find a copy of what am I thinking? Here we go. So I would love to find a copy of something like a Grafdigger's Cage here. If it's not what happens, then honestly, oh well. I do not need to walk myself into just like a shock. So I will go ahead and I guess just attack for 1. Here I can leave up Test of Talents. I can leave up Mystical Dispute. So like, this isn't the end of the world. If their only plan is going to be to flashback Faithless Looting, then I actually think I'll be happy to get rid of all of the Faithless Lootings. Pillar of Flame. Do I do anything about that? No, I think I just let that rock. You can have that, opponent. Xerox be like, making decisions about your game plan is boring. Also, having mana is boring, and also having 60 cards in your deck is for noobs. That's not terribly inaccurate. So this comes at a real cost, though. So if I play the Ascendant Spirit, I do threaten to have Counterspell mana and Pump mana, which I do have both. So, like, obviously that's good for me. Downside. Oh, that's not that bad. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily want to have this thing abraded, but I also don't want a Test of Talents versus a Braid, because they can just, like, untap, cast a shit ton of spells, and then bring that Phoenix back. How much do I care about that? Getting rid of a Braid also gets rid of a Braid in case I draw a... No, I will Test of Talents this. So, reason being, I do want a Braid to be... Is that the only one in their whole fucking deck? Alright, so we suck. They're only playing 1 Braid, which I think is a mistake. So now if I draw a Grafdigger's Cage, they just can't unlock their shit? Beacon Bolt and Fry are their sideboard options? Ew. Alright, well. Alright, opponent. Better a Braid the Ascendant than the Vial. Oh, yeah. Yeah, nah, not the right format for that one. Aw, man. Boo. Okay. Pretty good for them. Still not, like, just the saddest thing, though. Like, I'm pretty okay if their, like, iteration doesn't actually do all of that much for them. Yeah, I was gonna say, iteration's really good, though, so... Okay. So now we no longer know anything that's in their hand. That's okay. Well, they can only hide 2 of these, I guess, but still. Boo! Okay. Well, hopefully they didn't get another Phoenix. That would suck. Okay, so they only have the 1 Phoenix. So, all things considered, I'm actually pretty okay with that. Oh! Oh, man, you're so late! Oh, no! Why, Magic? Why are you like this? Alright, fine. So, let's go ahead and attack. That's funny as shit. So, yes, I want to draw the card. Oh, and it's a Grafdigger's Cage? Oh, I'm gonna be so pissed off. Well, I'm gonna cast the Cage anyway. They have the 2 Faithless Lootings. And if they cast, like, Drake here, I'll be very happy to cast this Dispute. Hell yeah, let's go. Please don't have a Dispute of your own. No Dispute. No. Oh, no, they have a Dispute. Come on, stop. No, we're dead. I should probably go to a game 3 here. Oh, that's so shitty. Man. Any combination that was not this. Alright, you got me. That sucks. Man, that would have been so good. Alright, well, that's enough bitching about it. Let's go to next game. So, but as you can see, though, we still have, like, the cool tools there. Wow, they just happened to hit some real run goods there. Like, they had the Dispute, they drew the Drake to go with the Dispute, and we drew the Cage exactly a turn late. Like, whew, man, that was rough. But yeah, we certainly have the tools to get past all of it, though. So let's play first this time, and let's keep this hand. This isn't bad, especially since we know they're only playing one copy of a Braid. So this is pretty likely to stay on the table now. Now, I could have tried to, like, get them by only worrying about, like, making them cast their Faithless Looting, making them get a little bit of card disadvantage, and then doing it all like that. But I'd rather use my mana effectively here. And I also, like, didn't know I was going to draw a Test of Talents. So, like, I think this is still fine. So let's do this, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of swing here. Whoop, whoop. And if they remove a spell here, I'm not going to, like, do anything. I'm just going to, yeah, be fine with that. So let's end the turn. Let's see what things they have. Oh, I actually could have Test of Talents on Opt. That might have been better. Nah, whatever. Oh, I will very happily... Yes. So they're going to get to draw a card, but... I will still be pretty happy to not deal with that card. So they're going to... Double Disputes pretty good. No land drop is nice. So I'm going to just play this again. They, I guess, can opt. So, like, taking an opt would have also drawn him a card. Do I care about opt? Not particularly. Actually, no. Let's use our cards while I have the ability to, I think. Okay, so I can Spell Pierce the opt, and then try to make them use a dispute on this, and then use that opportunity to resolve my Brazen Borrower next turn. I like that. Let's do that. If they decide to not care about the opt and simply miss the land drop, I'm good with that too. But I would rather they actually use a dispute here. Because, like, my Spell Pierces... Alright, sick. Because, like, I'm starting to run out of cards pretty quickly. Where they can just, like, start drawing a land and removal spell combo and, like, getting rid of my threats. And then eventually just, like, drawing into this Crackling Drake here. Which, as you see, is totally on the table for them right now. So let's just cast this thing. And if they play the Drake, I'll be able to dispute it, which is nice. But I am running out of cards. Okay. Hell yeah, let's go. So now I can draw, hopefully, something nice? No? Okay. That's fine, too, I guess. We can draw nothing instead. So I'm going to hold this back. Maybe I get to bluff something. Since they're holding a dispute, bluffing something here actually might make them, you know, not take a turn, you know? They could just, like, do nothing. Does Test of Talent see any play in Modern, for example, against Prowess? No, it does not. That card doesn't do anything because of Grafdigger's Cage, so have at it. Pillar of Flame. Alright, yeah, I can't do anything about that. Nope, not what I wanted there. And it sucks because I can't even, like, cast it for 3 because they have a dispute back. So if they just, like, have something like that. I think I'd rather make them use it than not, though. Because, like, dispute is worse for me than it is for them. So I guess I would rather make them use the dispute. Because either way, they're going to get the 3-drop here, and I'm not going to get to do anything unless I, like, draw another creature anyway. So I think I'd rather make them use their card. So yeah, so Test of Talents does not see any play in Modern. I do play a couple of Test of Talents in Pioneer Mono Blue, because it's pretty good against things like Emergent Ultimatum, and it's also just, like, decent against Blue-Black control, right? So I do play 2 of them in there. So you can have your 3-2 here. Nope. Okay, this is what we're doing today. But no, there's not really... I'm not going to... Oh, come on, deck. I'm not going to go so far as to say there's not much point in playing cards like Test of Talent there, but, like, it doesn't actually see any play, like, in Modern at all. Like, in Modern, you'd rather just have, like, low-cost answers to things. Ah, fuck. Well, this sucks. Oh, fucking A. That sucks. Damn. That was really bad. So, alright, well, we got things at least, so that was kind of cool. What did we open? We got a domestication style card. Alright, let's play one more. But no, Test of Talents doesn't really have a good target in Modern. Like, playing against Prowess is kind of like medium, you know? Because, like, playing a 2-mana counterspell is already just kind of bad against Prowess because all the problems that are presented in Prowess are typically 1 and 0 mana anyway. I mean, yes, Sprite Dragon and Storm Tea, but, like, those are not covered by Test of Talents. And, like, stripping their deck of, like, expressive iterations is kind of meh. What am I supposed to do with this? Alright. Arcanist? Okay. So, this is a little bit of a hard matchup here. Whoa, it's mono black, it's not Arcanist. Alright, that's kind of cool. So I expect the Siren Storm Tamer to die. If it does not, I will take my opportunity to draw 2 cards. If it does, then I guess I can just, like, resolve this. And maybe the following turn, oh, it's not mono black, it's black green something? Alright, well, I'm not blocking that. So let's see what happens here. Fiend Artisan! Oh, we're doing cool things today. Oh, my Lanta. Well, my opponent's doing ultra cool shit, so this is just gonna suck. Because I'm on a draw here, so I'm not gonna get to play, like, Lofty Denial or anything cool. Oh, man. I am about to be witness to some wild shit. So they can... Oh, well, alright. Chupacabra, Shieldred. Alright, so I basically need to draw a counterspell ASAP is what you're telling me? So I'm going to get to take, what, something between 8 and 10 damage here? Nope, just 7, okay. That's less than I thought I was going to have to take here. So let's do this. Spectral Sailor... Shacklegeist will give me a tap on Fiend Artisan. It's better than nothing, so let's do that. Alright. Attack with this thing. Draw a couple of cards. Lofted Denial is good next turn, assuming we make it there. And I actually will just cast this now. So during their upkeep is when I'm going to tap this Fiend Artisan. Before they can make a land drop to get a better creature out of it. Okay, cool. So at least we're not just stuck looking at that right now, but this is going to be 6 right in the middle between 8 and 10. I took 7 because of the Stitcher Supplier, but it's also really unlikely that they didn't mill 1 creature in their 3 things here. I love how Faithless Legal is legal in Historic, but not in Modern, so Is It Phoenix is just strictly better in Historic than Modern? Yeah, like, Is It Phoenix is basically not a deck in Modern right now. Like, you can technically try it, but, like, you get Treasure Cruise in Pioneer, you get Faithless Looting in Historic, so it's just, like, way better everywhere else than it is in Modern, and I do also find that pretty hilarious. So that's fine, we'll take 2 here, we go to 10. And we have a Supreme Phantom, though, so, like, I am tempted to just Sailor here, Obsession here, attack for 3, go to 11, and once again I can use Fiend Artisan, or tap Fiend Artisan in upkeep, and I'll be okay with taking 4. Okay, cool. As a Spirits player, we're not sad at all that Phoenix isn't a thing. Yeah, like, when Phoenix was a big thing, I was playing Thalia, so, like, I don't know, I was less mad about Phoenix's existence because, like, Thalia just kind of beats Phoenix a lot of the time. Gate to the Afterlife! Whoa, that is cool as shit. I mean, the answer is no, but, like, that's cool as shit. Alright. Well. Oh man, that card has the ability to be really scary. I played Bant Spirits back then and got major slapped by Thing of the Ice. Oh, gotcha. No, I was also playing Blue-White then with Thalia. I guess it makes sense, though, that, like, Bant is probably, like, super scared of that deck because, like, you know, just the ability to make us really worry about things like, oh, what am I thinking? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they're at 11, so it can't really do much about that. So what I'm going to do here, I guess, is just attack for 4, 5, 6, tap this thing, and hold up Rattle Chains for the kill. I guess that's probably okay. Alright, let's do that. That actually helps quite a bit. So once again, upkeep tap. I'm gonna get to where's Shacklegeist? Tap this thing using the 2 Spectral Sailors. Actually, no. I'm gonna tap using Ascendant Spirit as well. Maybe this way they're a lot less likely to target Ascendant Spirit with something. If they do Priesthood of Forgotten Gods, I'm mostly okay with that because I can just sacrifice this tap Spectral Sailor and not worry about it too much. So I think I'm mostly okay with this now. I can still die to something, I don't know what, but I'm sure I'm unaware of something I could die to from this deck. So what do you read? Search your library for a creature card. Okay, okay. So Grafdigger's Cage is actually pretty good here with like the escape cards, Fiend Artisan, Gate to the Afterlife can get God Pharaoh's Gift, and that reanimates cards. That reanimates. Yeah, okay, so Crypt Breaker, cool. Yeah. So they're gonna mill. What is this? Oh shit, that's cool. Sacrificing this Spectral Sailor. So they get mana, they get card. Oh my god, if they have Massacre Worm, that is gonna suck to be me so hard. I hope they don't have Massacre Worm. Actually, Massacre Worm... Oh no, Massacre Worm does kill me. Shit. Oh, hell yeah. Sick, they don't have it. Reanimation stuff and not even playing Scrub God. Literally unplayable. Oh god, yeah. I don't necessarily agree with that decision either. I think they should be playing some copies of Scarab God. Just like, maybe as a 2-of somewhere. Yeah, I think I like that. Grafdigger's Cage, pretty good. Bind a Monster is really good against both Fiend Artisan and Priesthood of Forgotten Gods. But like, I mean, I think I would play it as Jeskai as Sultai, because like, Scarab God's gotta be really good in something like this, right? Especially since you can Fiend Artisan for it too. So like, just throwing in some like Zagoth Triumphs and I don't know, like blue-black pathways and stuff, that's gotta be worth. Oh yeah, just the ability to have the only playable board wipe in the format we care about was scary. It was scary. Oops. Oh, ha. Too many cards taken out. I guess I'll put Memory Lapse back in. I don't really want any of these. No, I'd rather have this. Ew, I don't want it. Alright. Mana colors are for the unimaginative. I don't know, this feels fine, probably. Oh well, our hand's not bad. So a couple of thought seizes can ruin our day here, but... yeah. I will Crypt Breaker here. Yeah, seems fine. So if they follow up with a turn 2 Priest of Forgotten Gods, then whatever, I'm sad about that. But like, denying them the discard outlet seems good, and if they're, you know, playing a limited number of zombies, then their Hell yeah, let's go. Again, not great, but it is something resembling a plan. So if they have to like spend their next turn replaying this, I'm okay with that. I do want to, yeah. Okay. So hopefully we didn't get too far behind the ball there, because their draw was basically exactly what they needed here. So I'm hoping that the 3-drop they can get with Fiend Artisan isn't too nuts. But the next turn is going to be the turn where I just like need to like just get to attacking and get it over with, right? Because like I can definitely just die here. Ask Dredge what they think about mana colors. Well, I'm definitely not blocking anything here, that's for damn sure. So I guess I'll just take this and go to 12. And since I have the Curious Obsession, our game plan can start, which is nice. So I think I'm going to just be mana efficient and play this thing. Okay. Does anything bad happen to it? The answer is no. And I don't really like putting an obsession on something that I can't protect, but I don't want to play too many of these things until I have to, because I want to see what I can draw off of this. I want Spectral Sailor to block the big-ass Fiend Artisan. And now I have 2. Cool. So realistically, they should next turn use the Fiend Artisan to, and all of their mana, sacking one of these, to go and get a copy of Ravenous Chupacabra. That gets rid of Brazenbauer, but it stops their ability to attack this turn, which means that I can play just Rattle Chains or Spectral Sailor and then like just re-up my clock, which I'll start winning the race if that's what they do here. Fiend Artisan is still just huge, which is annoying, but I think we can get out of this. I'm going to go watch Modern. Have a good one. You too. You enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, just, thanks so much for stopping in. Actually, I'll take this and go to 4. If their card is a... Yeah, I'll just take this and go to 4. If their card is a Massacre Worm, I'm already dead to it anyway. Like, I just can't beat a Massacre Worm, so fuck it. Also, you can sack stuff with Fiend Artisan and get the Scrub God. Hey, I advocated for it. No, I think Scarab God's pretty good. So we'll pass here, we'll take this, we go to 4, and that's cool. So I will play just another Spectral Sailor here. And I assume they kill this with something. What they choose to kill this with... Okay, I was going to say, what they choose to kill it with was never really that important because we could already not do anything about it. So here I'm just going to attack with this, I guess. Okay, let's draw this card. Rattle Chains is not terrible. I want to play Ascendant Spirit. Yes. Okay, so now I can threaten to pump Ascendant Spirit and play a Rattle Chains. Also of note, if they decide to just like Rattle Chains, I'm sorry, if they decide to just like let me have access to like just Rattle Chains, that is lethal. So I'm pretty close to threatening lethal of my own. I can't do shit about a Massacre Worm, so that really sucks. Also, the Stitcher and Suppliers and whatnot are zombies. Yeah, and that's relevant for the Crypt Breaker too. So like they could tap 3 and draw a card, but honestly, as long as they're like taking turns off and like not just attacking my face, I'm pretty good with that. Massacre Worm is really the only card I care about as of right now. Ah, fuck my life. They just... Yep. Oops. Well, that's game. So, game 3. Never was worried about a counterspell, they just had it. So now that I'm on to play, our counterspells look a lot better though. So here I want to... I really just want like almost all of this stuff. Siren Storm Tamer is probably like the worst of the bunch, so I don't know, I'll do that. Bind a Monster's still really good though. So, and obviously Grafdigger's Cage is freaking great. So I'm glad I didn't see Grafdigger's Cage in game 2, because now it means that it might get them by surprise in game 3. I doubt it'll be a true surprise, because like if they're playing that deck, they should expect it. But who knows? Well, I am definitely keeping this. Alright, go ahead, opponent. I will definitely be drawing cards turn 2, so that's exciting. Here's this. Here's this. Here's a happiness. Give me some cards. Give me some cards. Give me more cards. Alright, go. Never expect the obvious counter to your deck, right? Alright, so this is what I was talking about, though. Like, where Bind a Monster here is actually just, like, super good. Because now they're not just going to be killing me with the stupid priest and all that are sacrifice crap. So it is true that they can still just do some other stuff, but at least they have to work for all the other stuff, right? So what happens here? Another priest? And that's fine, because I'm just going to petty theft it. I wish they didn't get priority here, because I could just bounce it before they make a land drop. Oh, but the land drop's not even a, what you call it anyway, never mind. I was going to say, if the land drop happened to be a copy of, hell yeah, look at us go. But what I was going to say is, if it was a copy of Phyrexian Tower, then I guess I was a little worried about them using Phyrexian Tower to counter my petty theft and deny me the Brazen Power. But I guess I'm just good all around. I can't really bitch about anything at this point. So let's do this. Let's draw more cards. Fabled Passage does them no good here because it comes in tapped. And I can just play like Grafdigger's Cage plus card. Yes, I want the card. What are you kidding? Give me. Give me all the cards. So I'm going to play Cage and Ascendant Spirit, giving myself 2 mana for Rattle Chains or Brazen Bower. So I'm pretty excited about the way this is developed, obviously. Even with a mulligan, we are still in fist pump mode. Okay. Okay. Go Gadget Spirits. Never expect the obvious counter to your deck. But yeah, like, their deck does have a wild amount of synergy, though. Like, having all of their things count as zombies for their deck is pretty sweet, because they can just, like, tap 3 with Crypt Breaker and be pretty excited about that. Especially when they're all just, like, Stitcher suppliers and stuff that they probably otherwise don't really care about anyway. Like, that's fine. Alright, that's less fine, but it's gonna happen. Oh, sick. So I'm just going to go ahead and bounce this priest again. I'm not really going to worry about whatever this Ascendant Spirit does or doesn't have the ability to do, because, like, I just don't care about it anymore. So I am going to play this, pump the Spectral Sailor, attack here, and this will probably tempt them to cast a Ravenous Chupacabra on something, but we know that I do have the... well, that too now. But I was going to say, we know that I have the Rattle Chains to protect somebody. This also holds up exactly Brazen Bower mana too, if they play something that we just, like, don't care about. If they cast a Priest, I will use a Lofty Denial on that, I think. Not I know, but I think. Will I? I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what happens before making decisions. I kind of want them to just, like, Chupacabra. Thoughtseize! Well... I am not going to deny that because I actually want them to lose the 2 life. Because what I have is 3, 6 here, and then one of these Brazen Bowers is 9 and they're at 9. So if all they're going to do here is just like try to Chupacabra me, then I have Rattle Chains to protect something, so I just have lethal on board. Yeah, like that doesn't do anything. And I have 5 mana, so I can just double pump this and that's game. Sick. So, alright, good game. I'll respond. Declare yourself a spirit and then rattle change yourself. Right? But no, like, I actually like it when opponents sees this deck a lot of the time because the 2 life actually matters. Because even without the Ascendant Spirit there, like, you know, they gave us a lethal attack. So that was pretty cool. Sick. So, not terribly happy about losing that matchup to Phoenix, but we are glad about beating the matchup against Black-Green. But yeah, I don't know. Deck's cool. I plan on playing a little bit more of this. Tomorrow, I assume that we will have access to all of the Modern Horizons 2 cards on Mana Traders. Please, please. So, that should be... Why can't players have creature types, right? I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. I'd be a spirit. Protect myself. Maybe pump myself with, like, Droxco Captains and stuff. I want to get Hexproof for my Droxco. Exactly! Give me Hexproof. Hey, burn deck. Fuck you, I have Hexproof. Alright, but that's going to be the end of today's stream. So we got to do a bunch of pretty cool stuff, though. Like, we got to look at all the spoilers. Finally, all the cards are out. We got to brew up some deck lists and have a lot of fun just, like, checking out all the different stuff that will be available. And all the stuff that... Now you guys know that I will be trying out in the first week or 2 of playing this format. We also got to go ahead and just play a little bit of Historic. So tomorrow I'm hoping that all of the Mana Trader stuff will be up and that those of us who've been subscribed to them for a while will have access to the Modern Horizons 2 cards. Because I really want to, like, I just want to start jamming, right? Like, Modern looks really interesting right now because just, like, I expect Modern Horizons 2 to be a pretty big shakeup without too much of the ultra fucked up stuff that Modern Horizons 1 gave us. So that should be kind of cool. I also want to hear a lot of other content creators takes on stuff too. So I'm going to be looking out for a lot of like the legacy people to provide input about cards like Void Mirror, about Dragon's Rage Channeler, to see how much they like the cards or don't like the cards. Either way, I'm looking forward to seeing how people like Nikachu are going to be speaking on about Merfolk and which cards they're going to be playing. With humans, you got to slam your head on the board, declare yourself human, to pump your champion into the parish. Hey, Valley's Lieutenant 2 now. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of good, interesting content here. Also, I see that Gabriel Nassif is streaming right now. Oh, midweek metagame. Cool. So looks like they're going to be doing a bunch of podcast stuff. So I will have y'all speak with Gabriel. Because he's going to have clearly a lot of great input. Like, he's just one of the best players of all time. So I'm kind of interested to see what he says about Modern Horizons 2 or whatever it is they're talking about. Turn 2, flicker your head 19 times to swing with a 2020 champion. Yes! Just like headbang. Instead of playing a bunch of techno music, we're just going to play some metal stuff. And every time we do this, it gets +1. So that should be a fun time. So alright, so I'm going to go ahead and slide y'all over to Gabriel in a little bit. And as always, thanks to everybody for stopping in and having fun with me. I will see y'all tomorrow.